The narrative revolves around Lin Zian and his three companions as they navigate a year of high school, filled with various antics, challenges, and personal growth. Within the classroom, there are new desk mates, a mysterious transfer student, the burdensome pressures of academic life, and the ever-present youthful musings, familial expectations, and misunderstandings between teachers and students. Through these misadventures and humor, Lin Zian compensates for his lack of confidence, gradually learning to care for and understand others. The 3 volumes progress through themes of building friendships and misunderstandings, clashing ideals and growth, and the final push in senior year and self-redemption. Interweaving a tapestry of dramatic events and a light-hearted ambience, ultimately leading each character to discover their own answers at the moment of graduation. Chapter 1. A new semester and a new deskmate. The bell rang like a bursting balloon, echoing through the classroom. Lin Zian, with disheveled hair from an all-nighter spent on homework, rushed into Class 5 of Year 2, stepping onto the blue-gray tiles of the corridor as if he had just emerged from his dormitory like a startled hamster. His backpack zipper was undone, and his Chinese textbook dangled behind him, while the class monitor, Wang Yiming, gestured from the corner, signaling him with a "You're late again" sign. Morning light streamed through the glass, flooding the classroom. Lin Zian's gaze collided with the new seating arrangement. His name was placed beside Chun Muyu in the 3rd row by the window. He blinked in disbelief, as if he had flunked an accent mark test. No way. This ice queen has become my new deskmate? The seat changes sparked lively discussions among the class. Chun Muyu sat upright, a thick stack of textbooks laid out before her, as if she were in a laboratory, not allowing a hint of emotion to escape. Lin Zian squeezed into his seat, grinning as he leaned closer, attempting to initiate conversation. "Hey, Chun, I heard you're the brainiac of the class." As soon as he finished, Han Dong in the back row erupted into laughter, while Li Wanner secretly sketched a smiley face on a scrap of paper. Chun Muyu did not lift her gaze, but glanced at him from the corner of her eye, her voice as flat as a weather report. "Could you please not talk to me? Use your book to block your face, will you?" Lin Zian felt momentarily stifled but refused to back down, the corners of his mouth lifting. How can we foster revolutionary camaraderie without chatting? Besides, we're the logistics team for our desks. We need to strategize for the math test. Without raising her head, Muyu slid her physics book 2 centimeters toward the edge of the desk, clearly marking a boundary. Just as the atmosphere grew a bit tense, their homeroom teacher, Xiao Siming, entered with his characteristic brisk steps, his hair still styled in the classic 3/7 part. He slapped his teaching pointer onto the podium, his voice booming yet teasing. "Now that everyone has met their new deskmates for the semester, let's not just complain about them. Zian, if you're late again, you'll be cleaning the blackboard like your idol next week." Laughter erupted throughout the classroom, and Lin Zian quickly defended himself. "Teacher, I could create art on the blackboard." "I'd be much happier if you could produce full marks," Xiao Siming replied with a smirk, then descended from the podium, pausing habitually beside Lin Zian and Chun Muyu. He glanced at the new arrangement and remarked, "You two seem to have complementary personalities. I reckon you'll spark quite a bit of chemistry. Zian, study hard, and Muyu, don't be too picky." Lin Zian blinked and gave Mr. Xiao a thumbs up, declaring earnestly, "I promise, our revolutionary friendship will flourish daily." Chun Muyu, with a faintly disdainful expression, quietly muttered, "Just don't hold me back." During the break, Lin Zian could no longer contain himself and surprised Chun Muyu by drawing a small crown beside her notes, signifying that she was the queen. Chun Muyu glanced at it, unable to suppress a twitch at the corner of her mouth. "What kind of kindergarten move is this? What would you prefer I draw? How about a heart?" As he reached for his pen, Muyu swiftly flipped to the next page, effectively cutting off his attack. That moment, Han Dong rushed in with a basketball, his back glistening with sweat, greeting Lin Zian. "Come on, the sports committee is gathering. We're having a strategy meeting after class." Lin Zian slapped the table. "Perfect, this will lighten the tense atmosphere with my deskmate." To his surprise, Chun Muyu replied calmly, "You go ahead, just don't bring back the aura of doing homework." Han Dong raised his eyebrows at Lin Zian. "Your new deskmate is even more serious than you. No wonder the top students speak highly of her." Lin Zian feigned seriousness. "She's an omnipotent scholar, and I'm a master of mischief." Nearby, Li Wanner, bent over taking notes, murmured, "Actually, Zian, you're quite impressive when you're serious." Flattered, Lin Zian turned to Chun Muyu. "Did you hear that? Someone has discovered my shining points." Muyu simply pursed her lips, not responding. Just then, a lively discussion erupted in their small group about self-introductions for the new semester, and Lin Zian typed, "I'm Lin Zian. My specialty is adding spice to my Deskmate's life, he was immediately met with likes and playful teasing. You mean you're giving her a headache? Self-study soon arrived. The sound of black pens scratching across exercise books filled the air. Lin Zian stole glances at Mu Yu's notes, which were impeccably written, as if she was determined to grasp every single point of knowledge. He stealthily passed her his additional calculation steps. See, didn't the teacher say we should be detailed in our steps? Mu Yu glanced at it, frowning. Your handwriting is too messy and your steps lack coherence. Lin Zian retorted, we embrace open-minded thinking. If you don't believe me, take a look at my physics problem solution. Mu Yu flipped through it, suppressing an eye roll, and quietly added a sting. Your thinking seems to lean more towards chaos. Their banter turned the table into a miniature battlefield. In the back, Han Dong intentionally pressed 666 on his calculator, holding it between them. Do you need me to keep count while you two argue? Lin Zian chuckled. If Chen wins against me, I'll treat the whole class to bubble tea. Finally, Chun Mu Yu lifted her gaze, her mechanical pencil between her teeth, calmly remarking, it would be more practical for you to treat everyone to a test. Li Wanner chimed in, wanting both bubble tea and tests. Are you being a bit greedy? The bell rang again, signaling the end of the discussion. Xiao Siming poked his head in through the door. What's with all the commotion in your group discussing problems? Do you think bubble tea can solve the test? How about we let your group present next class, turning friendship into friendship tests? Laughter erupted once more, easing the atmosphere. At lunch, the group gathered in a corner of the cafeteria, Lin Zian lamenting as he picked at his tofu. My new deskmate not only loves studying, but also won't let me doodle. Should I tone it down from now on? Han Dong patted his shoulder. If you tone it down, that's not really you. Don't worry, Mu Yu isn't as difficult as you think. Look, she almost smiled just now. Lin Zian pondered for a moment, then suddenly put down his chopsticks and turned to Mu Yu with sincerity. What type of deskmate do you prefer? A jokester, someone reliable, or someone quieter? Chun Mu Yu hesitated, her eyes warming for the first time. I just hope you don't disturb me, but sometimes you're quite amusing. Lin Zian was taken aback, suddenly realizing that this new semester might be more intriguing than he had anticipated. At that moment, sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating Chun Mu Yu's serene profile, as well as the swirling expectations within his heart. The bell rang once more, heralding the arrival of afternoon classes. Lin Zian packed his bag, tidied his desk, and quietly pinned Lin Chun in the corner. The storm of the new semester had unknowingly begun on this ordinary morning. Chapter 2. The class election turmoil in such close proximity. Are you not afraid that I might overshadow you? Lin Zian turned sideways to face Chun Mu Yu, a mischievous smile lingering on his lips from the previous class. Chun Mu Yu, without lifting her head, deftly scribbled in her English notebook. Do not drag the class down first. Her tone, tinged with a hint of sarcasm, piqued Lin Zian's curiosity. The buzz surrounding the election of class officers had been stirring for several days. A line of red letters on the blackboard proclaimed, Class Election Countdown, 2 days. The atmosphere in the classroom was thick and unclear, akin to a spilled bottle of soda, with a chaotic blend of sweetness and bitterness. During the third period, Teacher Xiao Siming entered with punctual steps, his footfall measured, each step landing precisely at the edge of the podium. Comrades, it is time for a meeting. Today is important, the election of class officers. Upon hearing this, the classroom erupted. Some students murmured softly, while others burst forth with ideas like firecrackers, tugging at each other's heads. Han Dong was the first to raise his hand. Teacher Siming, I would like to declare my candidacy for the position of sports committee member. I am well acquainted with the responsibilities, and my heart is resilient. Xiao Siming smiled, a familiar glimmer in his eyes. Indeed, is Han Dong's heart made of steel? Laughter erupted sporadically in the classroom, easing the tension. Lin Zian exchanged a glance with his neighbor. Han Dong beamed even more broadly. Are you not running for election? Class monitor, organization committee member. Do you not wish to aim higher? Lin Zian clapped his palm on the desk, revealing his knack for mischief. Who said I wouldn't participate? I must stir things up. I shall run for organization committee member. The class's cultural and entertainment activities are my forte. After declaring this, he noisily dragged his chair, pretended to grasp a piece of chalk, and added a smiley face to a line of small text on the blackboard. At that moment, Li Wanner raised her hand, her voice soft as it floated across the classroom. I would like to apply for the position of cultural committee member. A classmate whispered from below. Hasn't Tishi yet retrieved her drawing board from the vacation? Lin Zian gave Li Wanner a thumbs up, and encouraged by this, a faint blush graced her cheeks. For each position, you may self-nominate or recommend others. Xiao Siming delivered in his rapid-fire tone, imbued with a touch of ethereal humor. But remember, any cheating discovered during the voting will result in the punishment of copying mathematical analysis 3 times. A collective groan echoed throughout the class. Lin Zian instinctively glanced at Chun Muyu, noticing her rare smile at the corner of her lips, resembling the morning light stolen from a windowsill. The voting phase commenced. Each student received a slip of paper to write down their preferred candidate. Han Dong and Lin Zian, in a harmonious collaboration, discreetly exchanged a folded piece of paper shaped like a golden ingot. "My friend, your paper folding skills are commendable," Han Dong whispered. Lin Zian could not suppress a chuckle. "We must add some spice to this election." Han Dong winked and leaned in to discuss. "How about we implement a code for the election? A little C drawn next to the name signifies support. A mouse indicates lack of support." As the two busied themselves with their notes, they pretended to fill in the forms seriously. Soon, their antics spread contagious laughter, and several boys around them imitated their style of notes, creating a kaleidoscope of kites, smiling faces, and playful cats. The voting concluded, and teacher Xiao Siming opened the collected slips in front of the class, the tension palpable. The first slip was conventional and dull. The second bore a smiley face. The third, surprisingly, depicted a cat paw. Teacher Xiao Siming raised the paw drawing, his brow arching. "Do you think we are playing with cats in the election for class officers?" The entire class erupted in laughter. While Lin Zian and Han Dong feigned inspection of their pencil cases, their faces secretly beaming with joy, as the slips continued to be unveiled. The atmosphere in the classroom grew increasingly lively. Laughter and banter resonated like music, even drawing chuckles from the normally stoic tall boys. Some of the drawings were so outrageous that teacher Xiao Siming had to explain, "Is this lobster a sign of support for the sports committee?" When the final tally was announced, the atmosphere had transcended the seriousness of a formal election, morphing into a joyous celebration for the entire class. Lin Zian was undoubtedly elected as organization committee member, his slip adorned with a rabbit stifling a laugh, prompting Xiao Siming to remark, "Lin Zian, if only your humor could be applied to your studies." Han Dong returned to his position as sports committee member, giving Lin Zian a peace sign, "You owe me a bowl of egg noodles." The position of class monitor fell to the composed and rational Chun Muyu. Her votes were unusually high, each slip illustrating different motifs: jasmine flowers, stars, and even a string of numerical codes. When she accepted her role, her expression remained calm, yet her posture subtly straightened, as if adorned with an imperceptible glow. The list of class officers was unanimously approved. Xiao Siming concluded, "Regardless of whether it is a cat paw or a jasmine flower, this is your class. Enjoy yourselves and manage it well." In the afternoon, the fervor of the election still lingered. Han Dong eagerly invited everyone to play basketball in celebration. And Lin Zian seized the opportunity to loop his arm around Li Wan, pulling her into the fun. A cultural committee member cannot merely write. One must also learn to play basketball. Li Wan shot him a flustered glance and produced her drawing board. "Will you be my model?" "Certainly. I shall capture your dunking action." Lin Zian winked as he darted onto the court. Chun Muyu stood at a distance, silent, her gaze fixed on the figures chasing each other on the playground, her fingers lightly brushing the class monitor badge on her chest. The smile on her face was softer than ever before. As the sun dipped beside the basketball court, the laughter and the echoes of the voting intertwined, heralding the first small climax of a new class. Joy was interwoven with a subtle undercurrent. Each person was drawn closer to one another in this upheaval, quietly encountering the inception of growth. Chapter 3. The arrival of the mysterious transfer. Student Han Dong rushed into the classroom, textbooks in hand. A whirlwind of triumph as he waved the freshly minted list of class officers. "Lin Zian, Deputy of Sports Committee, are you not merely a master of words? Now you must clean the equipment room." He exaggeratedly elongated his tone, as if reading off a sentence of punishment. Lin Zian was engaged in a covert exchange with Chun Muyu, 1 basket of eggs, 2 bananas. Hearing Han Dong's voice, he smirked and lightly retorted, "At least I can use my head to play basketball better than you." Chun Muyu bit the cap of her pen, yet did not laugh, instead casting a furtive glance towards the classroom door. A figure entered from outside, reminiscent of the slanting light on a summer afternoon, quiet yet somewhat awkward. Dressed in a tidy new school uniform, carrying a light blue backpack, With her hair half-tied and half-flowing, she bore a tranquil demeanor. All eyes in the classroom were magnetically drawn towards her. "Classmates, this is our new student, Li Zian. Please extend your warmest regards." Xiao Siming's voice, as always, had a hint of jest, urging the class not to frighten her away. Li Zian, sensitive to the collective gaze, lowered her head slightly. Her voice barely audible. "Hello, everyone." Lin Zian immediately noticed her nervousness and clapped louder than anyone else. "Welcome, welcome, a warm welcome. Handong Shaimedin," drumming on the desk like a percussionist. A few normally unruly classmates joined in, elevating the atmosphere. Chen Muyu regarded Li Zian with a measured glance, observing her fingers twisting together as if grappling with the air. Xiao Siming handed the list to Li Zian. "You will sit there, third row by the window, 2 seats away from Lin Zian, safety distance." Li Zian nodded slightly and walked over, and as she passed, Lin Zian bowed theatrically, adopting a gentlemanly demeanor. "Should you need anything in the future, do not hesitate to seek my assistance. I assure your satisfaction." Li Zian chuckled softly, yet quickly lowered her head, as if harboring a snug little hamster inside her heart. During the third period, the classroom atmosphere fizzed like freshly opened soda, and the new student was the most sought-after participant in a quietly initiated activity within the club group. Han Dong orchestrated the plan, with Lin Zian responsible for the scoring criteria. The categories included charm, humor, strength, and mystery, with an option for underdog surprises. After class, a group of students huddled in the back row, murmuring, and Lin Zian launched into the discussion. "Who do you think should be crowned the Charm King?" "I believe girls tend to favor my type, the sunny yet slightly goofy one." Han Dong laughed so hard he nearly toppled off his chair. "You are the light bulb. Wherever you plug in, it shines." Chen Muyu unexpectedly interjected, suggesting that the King of Humor could directly write Lin Zian a truce card, thus sparing him the need for self-recommendation each time. Li Zian, seated by the window, quietly sketched something. During self-study, she stealthily created a cartoon, depicting Lin Zian as a big-headed figure with a trumpet-shaped mouth, alongside the words "Naughty King." When the school bell rang and the rankings were officially announced, everyone stifled their laughter. To their surprise, Li Zian claimed the top spot, with Mysterious King leading by a substantial margin. Lin Zian, feeling disgruntled, deliberately approached Li Zian's desk and remarked, "This is too mysterious. Do you possess some supernatural ability?" Li Zian, caught off guard, blushed slightly and shyly tucked her sketchbook into her drawer. Han Dong quietly fanned the flames. "You two together must have a new script. Lin Zian will come up with the questions, Li Zian will illustrate, and Muyu will provide the jests. Our class could easily produce a comedic masterpiece." A slight smile appeared on Chen Muyu's lips, though she quickly tempered it, cautioning them not to use their chaotic ranking as the basis for their questions during exercises, as she had already been the subject of their laughter thrice. During group discussions, Li Zian discreetly handed her freshly completed drawing to Lin Zian. Upon unfolding it, he saw 4 individuals playfully tussling in the corner of the classroom, each character vividly depicted, especially himself, with a mouth fashioned like a trumpet and 1 foot perched on a chair. Lin Zian blinked and said, "Your artistic style is quite unique. Do you have time to teach me a few tricks?" I wanted to pick teacher Xiao as Neza. Li Zian, amused, finally spoke up, "I brought my paints. We could draw together in the next art class." The warm glow of the slanting afternoon sun filtered through the window. The new rankings in the classroom acted as a catalyst, drawing students of varying personalities closer together. In the class group chat, the topic of the Mysterious King flooded the messages, prompting Lin Zian to initiate his usual antics. "I heard the Mysterious King can predict exam questions. Dare you to wager on one for next week's math test?" Han Dong led the cheer, suggesting they bet on teacher Xiao's tomorrow's eccentric teaching style, with the loser treating the entire class to milk tea. Chen Muyu frowned, suggesting lemon water instead, as milk tea contains sugar and is not body-friendly. Laughter erupted among the students, even reaching teacher Xiao Siming, who, unable to resist, turned back to them. "Are you discussing the most popular teacher rankings? I may need to nominate myself." Lin Zian feigned a raised hand. "Teacher Xiao, you deserve the award for the best sarcasm." The classroom erupted in laughter, as if boiling water, the sound of mirth echoing endlessly. Although Li Zian remained silent, she discreetly noted each person's sense of humor, as if searching for inspiration for her next comic. As school ended, the sky darkened, and the corridor still echoed with remnants of the day's clamor. Lin Zian and Han Dong exited the classroom side by side, with Han Dong playfully patting his shoulder. "Are you interested in the new girl?" Lin Zian feigned distress. "She's so enigmatic. How can I approach her? Besides, I must maintain my title of Naughty King." Han Dong chuckled. "You create the chaos. She illustrates. Muyu provides commentary. Our little team is complete." At that moment, Li Wan Air turned back, and Lin Zian flashed her a brief smile, one that seemed to conceal the promise of a fresh start for the new semester. Meanwhile, Chun Muyu silently observed her classmates, who were laughing together, her lips pressed tightly, yet she could not help but gently smile. The night in the campus gradually dissipated the noise of the day, as if each person had marked themselves anew under the new rankings. As for who would be the most popular, that might change by tomorrow. But the story that belonged to them had already been quietly inscribed by Li Wan Air in her sketchbook. When the classroom lights were finally turned off, a sliver of light illuminated the scene, where the vibrant lights outside contrasted with the tranquility of the alley. The youthful exuberance, marked by the arrival of the mysterious transfer student, imbued the atmosphere with an indescribable freshness and anticipation. Chapter 4. The first parent-teacher meeting in the classroom. The afternoon light lingered as Li Wan Air discreetly opened her sketchbook at her new seat while occasionally glancing at Lin Zian outside. The shouts from the basketball court, led by Han Dong, still resonated. Lin Zian rested his chin in one hand, sketching a mechanical maze on a piece of scrap paper, occasionally shaking his head as if awaiting some signal. "Are you staying for the afternoon? Don't forget about the parent-teacher meeting," Chun Muyu remarked coolly, her brows delicately arched like finely crafted scissors, always capable of curbing Lin Zian's restlessness within a mere joke. Lin Zian was taken aback and instinctively glanced at his backpack, which had a red strap, as if ready to flee at any moment. "My mom said she definitely wouldn't have time to come. My dad is on a business trip." As he spoke, he made a comical face, adding, "Could you sign me in, teacher? And perhaps help me make up for some math test points?" Chun Muyu ignored him, rolling up her sleeves to draw circles on her notebook. "You're doomed this afternoon." The bell rang sharply, slicing through the afternoon's tranquility. Parents began to arrive in the corridor, and the atmosphere in the classroom shifted subtly. The desks appeared 3 times as tidy as usual. Even Han Dong's basketball had been concealed within Li Wan Air's art bag. Teacher Xiao Si-ming entered, donned in a deep gray suit, resembling someone who had just stepped down from a mathematical competition podium or perhaps just checked students' phones. The moment he entered, the classroom fell utterly silent. Lin Zian's first instinct was to shrink his neck, hastily hiding the newly created humorous class ranking list within his physics textbook. Han Dong stifled a laugh. "You've made teacher Xiao Si-ming mad, judging by his expression. He's likely to interrogate you over 2 equations." The parents took their seats one after another, some whispering greetings, others examining the smile a day slogans adorning the classroom walls since morning self-study. Lin Zian stole a glance towards the entrance. His mother truly had not come. Only a lady in a light beige trench coat with voluminous curls confidently pushed open the door to classroom 307. She walked straight up to Lin Zian, her gaze slightly awkward yet feigning familiarity. "Hello, colleague." Her imagined tone in the quiet classroom disrupted the temporal echo. Upon hearing the word colleague, the entire class turned in unison as if jolted by an electric shock. Teacher Xiao Si-ming's brow furrowed, nearly bursting with mathematical formulas as he stared at this parent. Speechless for a considerable time, Lin Zian coughed, attempting to clarify. "No, Mom. Are you in the wrong office?" The lady froze, her face quickly flushing. This isn't the second-floor research office. I'm here to see Teacher Li." Before she could react further, Teacher Xiao Si-ming could no longer contain himself. "This is a parent-teacher meeting, not a grade-level meeting. Lin Zian, please have your mother." "No. Please have this lady take a seat in the parents section." Laughter erupted in the classroom like a wave, only to be swiftly suppressed by a sharp look from teacher Xiao Si-ming. Chun Muyu bit her lip to stifle her laughter, while Li Wan Air attempted to hide her face behind her sketchbook. Han Dong nudged Lin Zian quietly. "Your mom really knows how to make an entrance." Lin Zian could only lower his head and murmured, "I'm sorry, my family is really busy, but you should participate in more activities like this. You might meet new friends." The lady reluctantly took her place in the parents section, quietly inquiring about the class situation, trying to blend into the circle of parents. She quickly engaged with a neighboring parent, discussing community property fees, causing the situation to spiral out of control. Teacher Xiao Ximing finally regained a rhythm, switching on the projector and solemnly beginning to present the class's academic performance. Our class 307 has shown a significant improvement compared to last year, especially with Chunmu Yu. As the screen lit up, Han Dong could not help but interject. Lin Zian also made progress from 50 to 55, a 5-point leap. Laughter rippled through the class once more. At that moment, the national anthem echoed from the basketball court outside. One elderly parent suddenly stood up to salute, causing the teacher to awkwardly pause his speech, escalating the chaos beyond what it had been earlier. Lin Zian's parent. Please share your insights on your child's behavior at home. The lady stood up in a flurry, clearing her throat. Zian, well, he is quite helpful. He even fixed the faucet barefoot and can make instant noodles himself, but sometimes he does his homework rather casually. This remark struck teacher Xiao Ximing's funny bone directly. He suppressed a laugh, smoothly continuing, Lin Zian also tends to act casually at school, but we hope he can develop a stronger sense of purpose. The atmosphere relaxed a bit, and whispers broke out among the parents. Lin Zian pretended to take notes during the meeting, but was actually sketching a fleeing black cat, simultaneously passing Han Dong a note. Let's grab milk tea in the commercial district after school. Chunmu Yu snatched the note away and remarked with a sidelong glance. All you know is how to play, even during the parent-teacher meeting. Li Wan gently interjected. Actually, Zian is quite diligent. He just possesses a rather unique approach. Han Dong made a playful face at the sketchbook. You're unique, and you're proud of it. Just remember to return the key to the equipment room once this meeting wraps up. At that moment, a father burst in from outside, muttering to himself, looking around anxiously, a watermelon in hand, having mistakenly entered the wrong classroom. Laughter erupted among the attendees, transforming the parent-teacher meeting into a lively gathering for the entire grade. Xiao Ximing decided to regain control, addressing the parents. Today, our primary focus is on discussing the growth of our children. We encourage each child to discover their passion. The teacher approached the podium, smiling with a hint of exasperation directed at Lin Zian. Lin Zian, let us hope your growth is smoother than today's meeting. The class erupted in laughter, diffusing the previously serious atmosphere. The setting sun extended shadows throughout the classroom, filling every corner with vibrancy and warmth. As the parents departed, a lady sat beside Lin Zian and whispered, audible only to him, remember, we will always support you at home, no matter how many blunders you make. A surge of pride welled up in Lin Zian, accompanied by a tinge of guilt. He tidied up his desk and, together with Han Dong and Chunmu Yu, headed towards the basketball court, leaving behind a trail of light-hearted footsteps. In the golden light of the sunset, the boys of Class 3 from Year 2 wandered through the schoolyard, their laughter echoing the joyous chaos of the parent-teacher meeting, representing an authentic aspect of their growth journey. In the next physical education committee meeting, they would plan their first sports event together. Lin Zian's mischievous talent might once again earn him praise from Xiao Ximing. Chapter 5. Dormitory night. Talk. Moonlight cast sparse patches of light through the window of the old teaching building, while the night breeze carried the sound of hawthorn-flavored candy wrappers from the end of the corridor. Lin Zian, clutching half a bag of chips and wearing flip-flops, clattered into the boys' dormitory of Class 3. This night, it served as both a battleground and a stage. Han Dong had already stowed the basketball on top of the cabinet, still flushed with the adrenaline from a recent game. Zian, why are you so slow? With 5 minutes to go, I thought you were downstairs grabbing a late-night snack. Who told your homeroom teacher to drag things out? Lin Zian replied with a smirk, tossing the chip bag onto the table. Mr. Xiao's sense of humor takes time to digest before I can return to the dorm. The dormitory lights glowed a warm yellow, and the air was tinged with the residual warmth of the cafeteria. Chunmu Yu sat by the window, initially there to deliver worksheets, but had been adamantly held back by the two boys, as it was said that tonight would be a gathering of the class's elite to discuss their futures. When Li Wan arrived, she clutched a stack of drawing paper, stepping cautiously onto the carpet, as if afraid to break something. Is everyone here? Her eyes sparkled, but her voice was as soft as the rustling of pages in the wind. May I stay and listen for a while? Han Dong nodded, welcoming the arts committee member to oversee their gossip, adding, if you don't like it, you can always write a revealing article. Lin Zian cleared his throat and suddenly adopted a serious tone. Tonight, let us not discuss gossip, but rather our ideals. Who wants to speak first? Chenmu, you push her glasses up, contemplating ideals, huh? She lowered her gaze, her eyes seemingly wandering into the distant interplay of light and shadow. My ideal. I've always thought that wanting to be understood is also a kind of ideal, right? When I was young, my parents hoped I would attend Tsinghua or Beida now. I just wish they would listen to my thoughts. The atmosphere in the dormitory tightened, as if her words had quietly shattered an invisible bottle. Handong Suden Lu Suklid. Muyu, that is quite a lofty ideal. My mom wants me to be a PE teacher, but I feel that basketball represents freedom. During games, when everyone cheers together, I can forget all my worries. Lin Zian quickly chimed in. As for me, I wanted to be a star when I was little. Learned the violin for 2 years, but ended up being out of tune. Now, I just wish to be an interesting person. Someone who can make those around me laugh every day and occasionally drive the teachers crazy, yet still perform better than expected. Li Wan Air softly added from the corner of the table. I want to create drawings that bring joy. I used to think being able to draw was impressive, but later realized everyone was too busy with extra classes. Sometimes even my parents would just sit at the door and say a few words of encouragement. I envy how you all can chat together. Outside, the lights remained lit, like distant hopes that had not yet faded. The air fell silent, save for the occasional rustling of the chip bag. I've always been afraid of mediocrity. Lin Zian tapped the edge of the table. Yet I often engage in very mundane activities. My grades are not the best, and my parents aren't particularly remarkable. Sometimes I think that even if I'm not outstanding, there is still loneliness and confusion, but it seems everyone is striving for their own aspirations. Han Dong mimicked a basketball move, his smile tinged with self-deprecation. What is there to fear? Zian, you've always been our class clown. Your happiness brings joy to everyone. Chenmu set aside her ordinary thoughts and suddenly looked earnestly at Lin Zian. You're quite clever, actually. You always find a way to defuse awkward situations. At the last parent-teacher meeting, the academic affairs office was laughing at you, but in the end, you helped your parents out of that awkwardness and even passed a hint to Mr. Xiao. I find you quite reassuring. The atmosphere in the room warmed up again. And Li Wan Air secretly sketched a big smiling face with a tilted neck on her drawing paper. That was Lin Zian's signature move. What do you think we'll be like when we grow up? Livana asked cautiously. Lin Zian dramatically lifted his chin and declared, don't worry. Even when we grow up, we'll still be atypical protagonists. Han Dong will play in the CBA, Mu Yu will surely become a mathematician. Wan Air will be a top-tier illustrator, and I might just be an online content creator with a golden bow tie. Han Dong exaggeratedly patted Lin Zian on the shoulder. Buddy, wherever you are, we want to fear the sky falling. Under the light, a hint of warmth finally appeared at the corners of Chunmu Yu's mouth. But perhaps we want to continue walking together forever. Everyone will disperse to different places in the future. Her words muted the lively atmosphere. No one replied, and silence enveloped the room in a rare tranquility. After a long pause, Lin Zian suddenly slapped the table decisively. Hey, let us be serious this semester. We need to do something impressive together. Let us make sure Mr. Xiao remembers us. No matter where anyone ends up, whenever they mention Class 3 of Year 2, they'll think of our legendary night talks. Han Dong stood up, rallying the group. That sounds great. How about we organize a class free cup event with various competitions and cooperative projects and even get the teachers to act as judges? What do you think? Chenmu Yu unusually did not oppose. Instead, she pondered for a moment. That's fine, but we need a comprehensive plan. Otherwise, it will just turn into your prank fest. Li Wan Air, holding the drawing paper, her eyes sparkling, asked, can I design the poster? I want to make it in a style that will make everyone smile. Outside, the wind picked up again, stirring the remaining light on the corridor floor. Footsteps echoed at the dormitory entrance, and the figure of teacher, Xiao, seeming briefly, appeared in the doorway. He was checking on the dorms tonight and would typically stop by each dorm to say a few words. Oh, you're not sleeping and are holding a discussion meeting? Teacher Xiao pushed the door open, his brow furrowed like a complex geometry problem. Are the revolutionary elements of the class present? Are we discussing academic and life matters tonight? Lin Zian cleverly raised his hand. Teacher, we're discussing how to enhance the learning atmosphere in our class. Han Dong suggested the free cup, and Li Wan Air will design the poster. Can you be the chief judge? Teacher Xiao was amused by the lively banter among the kids. So he pulled up a chair and sat down. All right, as long as it doesn't make my hair fall out faster, that's a good thing. Laughter filled the room, and the night grew softer. As they conversed deep into the night, The scraps of paper in the dormitory multiplied, and the dreams they shared grew larger. Some were laughing, some were pondering, and others quietly jotted down their tender thoughts on paper. On the last page of the record book, Lin Zian wrote, "Growing up is challenging, but being able to talk late into the night together makes the world feel less foreign." The light at the table was gently turned off, and the four friends exchanged goodnights in the warm yellow glow. Outside, the lights of the distant basketball court still shone brightly, as if heralding the beginning of their next youthful conflict. As the night drapes its curtain, dreams and friendships quietly sow new seeds in whispered discussions. Chapter 6. The Strategic Battle of Morning Study. The moonlight merely leaves a faint line on the window pane, and the classroom still carries the warmth of last night's bag of potato chips. Lin Zian reaches into the desk drawer, his fingertips brushing against a crumpled, empty chip bag. He steals a glance at Han Dong, who is tapping the table with the barrel of a pen, seemingly crafting the strategic outline for the future morning study sessions. The first rule of strategy is to never bury one's head in a book for more than 15 minutes. Han Dong mutters this, as if making a vow to everyone, or perhaps rallying himself. Shen Muyu sits by the window, silently spreading out her math homework. Her brow furrows slightly, occasionally glancing toward the door, as if sensing an impending disruption. At 7:15, the crisp sound of Xiao Si-ming's high heels echoes down the corridor. Everyone knows these are not the ordinary shoes of a teacher. They're the combat boots prepared for urgent inspections. Before even entering, his presence sweeps through the classroom like a tidal wave. Lin Zian exchanges a knowing glance with Han Dong, a subtle smile playing at the corners of his mouth. According to the second rule of strategy, when the enemy advances, we retreat. Books can serve as shields. Han Dong discreetly opens an English dictionary, using its thickness to obscure half his face. Chun Muyu bites on the cap of her pen, casting an exasperated glance at Lin Zian. Her voice is soft as the wind seeping through the window. "Can you two behave? If this row collapses, are you planning to treat me to milk tea?" Lin Zian pretends to nod seriously, his eyes sparkling with mischief that cannot be concealed. Xiao Si-ming's figure sweeps through the classroom door like a clock hand striking the hour. He does not need to raise his voice. His piercing gaze alone quiets the entire building. After a brief cough, he stands at the podium. The upgrade in morning study discipline began after last week's class leader meeting. But to Lin Zian, it feels like a new round of battle. "Classmates," Xiao Si-ming's voice carries the crispness of the morning air, seemingly erasing the chaos of yesterday's parent-teacher meeting. Morning study is not a battlefield for military drills, but rather a warm bed for knowledge, the nemesis of laziness. Lin Zian silently scoffs. This is no warm bed, it is clearly a dungeon. Yet he subtly flips through his homework, while Han Dong quietly closes the dictionary, pretending to diligently check yesterday's math problems. The two of them fidget like ants on a hot stove, yet they resolutely maintain the boundaries of their strategy. A hint of amusement flickers in Chun Muyu's eyes, only to vanish in her hair. She nudges Lin Zian's book. "Didn't you say last night you would memorize the physics formulas? Have you forgotten to write them down again?" The third rule of strategy states, "Be strong against the strong, gentle against the weak." Lin Zian whispers back, "Muyu, you are strong. I can only be tough. There is no cure for laziness." Chun Muyu chuckles softly, yet discreetly pushes her physics materials towards Lin Zian's desk corner. She always subtly supports his various schemes without drawing attention. At 7:20, the classroom suddenly buzzes with activity. Han Dong notices someone in the back row racing to answer a history multiple-choice question, while a girl in the front row has begun the operation of passing books shoulder to shoulder. The upgrade in class discipline has transformed everyone into practitioners of strategy. However, no one dares to openly challenge Xiao Si-ming's authority. Lin Zian quietly slips a small note beneath his thick homework, passing it to Han Dong. The note reads, "The fourth rule of strategy. If you can make the entire row laugh, you are invincible." Han Dong smirks, tossing the note to Li Wan'er. The note veers mid-air, landing precariously on Li Wan'er's colored pencil case. She pauses for 2 seconds, readjusting her pencil, biting the tip, but cannot help but chuckle, feeling as light as morning mist. At this moment, Xiao Si-ming suddenly raises his voice, surveying the room. "Lin Zian, Han Dong, what were you just racing for? Is morning study a contest to see who can copy faster?" Lin Zian immediately stands up, blinking. "Teacher, we are not copying. We are engaging in a strategic brainstorming session. We plan to innovate our study methods for greater efficiency. Xiao Ximing's knife-like features soften momentarily, the corners of his mouth twitching upwards. Everyone knows that his most common tactic is a mix of guidance and humor, yet no one dares to confront him directly. And what is the first rule of your strategy? Xiao Ximing asks meaningfully, his eyes filled with encouragement. Lin Zian pretends to ponder seriously before finally declaring. The first rule is for students to be ready at all times to reassure their parents with good grades and to bring smiles to their teachers. The class bursts into laughter, Han Dong thumping his fist against the table. This strategy is truly impressive. Chun Muyu emits a soft huff, yet deep down, she feels a warmth. She recalls the anxiety that weighed on her during last night's dormitory discussions. Perhaps this bright little banter is an indispensable ornament of youth. Xiao Ximing lightly taps the podium. Since you all value innovation in your strategy, why not start today with each of you posing a question during morning study? We will challenge each other in the first class of the morning. Let us see whose mind is sharpest and whose ideas are most plentiful. Whether it's strategy or brainstorming, let's apply it to learning first. Lin Zian feels that the teacher's move to hand over the initiative will compel everyone to showcase their talents, instantly enlivening the atmosphere. A girl in the second row whispers, Lin Zian is going to lead the whole class astray again. However, Li Waner quietly jots down note, using colored pencils to write class strategy, advancing and retreating together, tucking it inside her homework. She watches Lin Zian and Han Dong's clumsy collaboration, feeling a twinge of emotion, yet also an inexplicable courage. In the latter half of morning study, the classroom is so quiet that one can hear the clock ticking, yet everyone is secretly competing. Some are flipping through old exam papers, others are exchanging notes in jest, and some are clandestinely attaching their own strategies beneath their desks. Chenmuyu finally puts away her math exercises, quietly hiding the unease stirred by Lin Zian into her backpack. Strategy is strategy, but in the next class, you must cooperate with me. Otherwise, I will sit with Han Dong. Upon hearing this, Lin Zian quickly clutches his homework, repeatedly shaking his head. Muyu, I am the most loyal person. The fifth rule of strategy is that desk partners cannot be changed. It could even be written into the Constitution. Han Dong chuckles beside him, passing a copy of the strategy forward. The class gradually forms its own morning study alliance, with laughter and shared glances creating a newfound camaraderie. Xiao Ximing approaches Lin Zian, his voice tinged with playful intrigue. Strategy is important, but growth is even more vital. While learning skills, one must also learn humor and perseverance. Lin Zian nods earnestly, his expression serious as he asks, Teacher, do you have any strategies of your own? Xiao Ximing blinks, setting down the chalk. My strategy is to be ready to laugh at you all, and also to be prepared to make you cry. However, in youth, one must dare to play and to laugh, without fear of making mistakes. As the bell for morning study rings, everyone steadily puts away their strategy notes under the new alliance rules. Chun Muyu opens her homework, Lin Zian adjusts his sleeves, and Han Dong gives him a hearty bump on the shoulder, as if signaling the onset of a decisive battle. The morning light spills through the window, illuminating the profiles of the students. The classroom may not be perfect, yet each individual is growing and laughing in their own place. Before the dismissal bell has completely rung, Lin Zian has already spread out his annual strategy plan on the corner of his desk. Han Dong hands him a basketball card, and Li Waner quietly writes down a proposal for the next round of class activities on a scrap of paper. Every effort and undercurrent builds momentum in this delightful morning study. The strategies of youth do not have standard answers. What remains are only the encouraging glances exchanged and the ever-present twinkle of laughter. Chapter 7. The Chaotic Fun Sports Meet. Do you even know how to run a relay? Please don't treat the baton as a selfie stick. Han Dong's eyes widen in despair as he shoves the orange baton into Lin Zian's hands. The autumn air is slightly cool, and the sycamore leaves fall rustling from the southern side of the playground. The school broadcast plays a long outdated pop song of youth, while the red balloons of the sports meet sway in the wind, and the class flag flutters as if in battle. Lin Zian poses dramatically with the baton, striking an exaggerated victory gesture, prompting laughter from his classmates, with someone teasing, Zian, don't take the wrong path. Last time, you ran straight into the discus line. Thank you all for your heartfelt wishes. Lin Zian replies with utmost seriousness, bowing in an exaggerated manner. Beside him, Chen Muyu's expression is hard to decipher. Simultaneously amused and exasperated, one hand poised in anticipation, Han Dong draped his arm over Lin Zian's shoulder and lowered his voice. In our class, the outcome of this relay hinges entirely on the synergy between the two of you. Muyu, it's your responsibility to keep an eye on him. I shall do my utmost, Chen Muyu replied, adjusting her glasses and nodding calmly, though unable to suppress a murmur. If he strays again, don't blame me. None of you laugh. When I take off, you must not be astonished. Lin Zian struck a professional sprinting pose, only to trip over his own shoelaces. Han Dong swiftly caught him, eliciting laughter from the crowd, while Li Wan Air stifled a giggle behind her hand at the edge of the track. The teacher in the center of the playground announced loudly, "The mixed relay of 2.5 laps is about to commence. Please, first runners, take your positions and remember to prioritize safety. Friendship above all, competition second." Before the announcement concluded, Han Dong had already raised the class flag, leading Class 6 of Grade 2 to the starting line. The cheerleading squad, dozen strong, loudly chanted their slogans, while Li Wan Air, clutching a homemade encouragement card, discreetly hid among the crowd, whispering, "Lin Zian, no matter how slow you run, you are still the fastest version of yourself." The first runner, an athletic standout, took off like the wind. Lin Zian, however, was already grinning internally. "I'm the second runner. Just watch the performance." Han Dong shouted from the finish line, "Don't run backward, please." Instinctively, Lin Zian turned to wave, and in the next moment, the baton slipped smoothly into his palm. He hastily accepted it, but, in his eagerness, dashed 2 steps towards the women's 400-meter lane across from him, only to be halted by a referee's booming voice, prompting him to swiftly veer around, eliciting roars of laughter from the audience. Chen Muyu, waiting at the starting line, was stamping her feet, yet a smile crept onto her lips. At last, Lin Zian stumbled over, panting as he handed her the baton. "Muyu, go for it." Chen Muyu calmly accepted the baton, uttering not a word, and readied herself, her steps precise and clean. As she began to run, it was as if the classroom had fallen silent. Her focus seemed to block out all external distractions, captivating the attention of students from other classes. Class 6 of Grade 2 rose collectively, cheering for Chen Muyu. Meanwhile, Lin Zian had not yet recovered, crouching on the ground, patting his knees and grinning broadly, just as a loud voice from the stands teased, "Zian, have you considered switching to acrobatics next year?" Unfazed, he stood up and bowed to the crowd, prompting friendly jeers from the opposing class. As it was time for Li Wan Air to run the final leg, her teammate passed the baton to her. Nervously fumbling for her shoelaces, she disregarded her image, taking a deep breath before charging forward. Lin Zian shouted encouragement from behind. "Wan Air, you got this." Just think of it as painting. Your goal is to cross the finish line with a flourish. Li Wan Air stumbled slightly, nearly tripping over her own stride, but fortunately steadied herself, and, upon crossing the finish line, her cheeks blushed like the evening sky. When the results were announced, Class 6 of Grade 2 did not secure first place, yet unexpectedly became the center of attention. "We lost, but we crossed the finish line with smiles," Han Dong grinned, waving the flag at everyone. "Who says a relay must be all serious?" On the playground, students from other classes proudly displayed their victory certificates, while those from Class 6 wiped their brows, exchanging light-hearted banter, embodying the most joyous scene in the school. As Chen Muyu drank water, she chided Lin Zian, "Next time, remember to run in a straight line. How could you take a relay around the entire oval? Are you aiming to travel the world?" Lin Zian declared resolutely, "The distance we can run with the baton is as far as our hearts can reach." The class erupted in laughter. Li Wan Air then handed her encouragement card to Lin Zian, bashfully murmuring, "Actually, I misspelled encourage as fish." Lin Zian laughed heartily. "Then we'll order boiled fish for our class dinner." It fits perfectly. The atmosphere swelled with warmth. The sunlight on the playground shone brightly, as everyone either sat or lay on the grass, sharing amusing stories from their athletic endeavors, friendship blossoming with each shared laugh and playful jest. A breeze swept along the edge of the court, and Han Dong suddenly proposed, "Shall we hold a vote for the happiest team member? I nominate Lin Zian and also Wan Air." Her sprinting was like a fawn in a frenzy. The crowd responded with enthusiasm, and moments later, the vote for the happiest team member ended in a tie. Lin Zian turned to Li Wan Air and bowed deeply. "A delightful collaboration. Next time, let us run 18 laps together. Livana chuckled, her flushed cheeks radiating a shy warmth in the setting sun. As the sun dipped lower, the school gate grew lively. Just as preparations for departure began, Teacher Xiao Siming approached, feigning a scan of the crowd. Today's spirit of sportsmanship is barely satisfactory. Lin Zian, next time, I'll have you copy the straight path 3 times. Lin Zian stood at attention, saluting. Report, teacher, I am the fastest at copying. Han Dong burst into laughter, followed by the group joining in. Laughter and the autumn breeze scattered throughout every corner of the campus as they formed a circle, witnessing each other's smiles warm in the afterglow of the playground. It seemed this small skirmish had drawn them closer together. The evening glow resembled an unfinished canvas, trailing orange-red hues at the edge of the playground. Someone suggested heading to a nearby milk tea shop for a boost of energy, and the crowd eagerly responded, ready to gather their belongings and rush to the next lively destination. Thus, the days unfolded, filled with excitement and sweat, quietly turning a new page amidst their laughter. Chapter 8. The drama class turmoil. If it weren't for your offbeat rhythm, we would have secured first place. As the final applause on the playground faded, Chen Muyu slung her backpack over her shoulder, pouting as she chastised Lin Zian. The sunlight danced around her forehead, unable to conceal the smile at the corners of her mouth. Lin Zian shrugged, brandishing the baton like a microphone, exuding confidence. Art stems from life, and life is but a series of jokes. For the next act, I shall arrange it. How about you, Mu Jia? Take on the leading role. In your dreams. Chen Muyu chuckled, pushing him away a step. Han Dong, carrying a water bottle, breezed in, clapping Lin Zian on the shoulder. The director loves talent. Please consider me as well, the limited edition basketball prince, with a perfect leading man face. The trio bantered as they squeezed into the teaching building, still bearing the salty residue of sweat and dust from the playground. Upon entering the classroom, Xiao Siming stood at the podium, sporting a serious expression while twirling chalk in his hand, as if plotting something grand. This week's Chinese class features something new, he announced. Each group will draw lots for a Chinese drama segment. The content must be self-written, directed, and performed with no restrictions on the theme. However, it must include couplets or classical Chinese passages. The classroom erupted in a clamor. Lin Zian's eyes sparkled, and his voice rose. Can we make it quirky, Teacher Xiao? Yes, as long as it's not too outlandish. Xiao Siming smirked. Last time, your rendition of Wu's song Slaying the Tiger had me in stitches. Just remember not to make me laugh so much that I delay grading the assignments. Seats became a jumble as Li Wan Air gently cleared her throat and cautiously stood. How about I take on the role of playwright for our class group? Feel free to share your ideas. Her voice, though delicate, rippled through the room like pebbles dropped into water. Lin Zian was the first to raise his hand. I want to be the director, he shouted, bowing towards the podium in jest, mimicking a director's salute. The class erupted into laughter. Han Dong, nursing a hand scraped on the court, chimed in. Then I'll be the action director, ensuring the audience is left in awe. He punctuated his words with exaggerated punches. Chen Muyu closed her book, tilting her head slightly, with the director and playwright in place. The leading role needs a student image that is realistic. Shall I take it on? But if Lin Zian dares to make last-minute changes, I will report him. Muye, usually aloof, had volunteered today. Han Dong vistled in surprise. Who said I'm aloof? ISNT the purpose of acting to make people laugh? Chen Muyu fixed Lin Zian with a mischievous gaze, the corners of her mouth curling slightly. Li Wan Air's cheeks flushed, and she quietly asked, So, what do you all think we should write about? How about we depict our class as morning self-study battles? Lin Zian suggested, seizing upon a recent event. Teacher Xiao, you are the illustrious boss, and everyone is devising cunning ways to sneak potato chips and doze off, reminiscent of a spy thriller. Laughter resonates throughout the classroom. Xiao Siming raises an eyebrow and proclaims, Shall I don a trench coat and become Detective Xiao? Utterly brilliant. Someone teases, while Han Dong, dressed as a security guard, hides a loaf of bread in his pocket. Li Waner, playing the role of an academic prodigy, is ultimately caught in the act. With a smile, Li Wana nods and begins sketching the storyboard. Lin Zian stands at the front of the classroom, assuming the role of director, declaring, All right, let's clarify our roles. The script is set. The academic elite, the underachievers, the sports committee member, and the arts committee member will join forces to challenge the homeroom teacher. blurring the lines between truth and illusion, only to reveal that the true boss is secretly shielding the students from the onslaught. Much like teacher Xiao did when he chased after the stray cats outside last time. The audience erupts in laughter. Chen Muyu rolls her eyes, unable to conceal her amusement, saying, Lin Zian, don't turn this into a self-directed performance. Fear not, for I am a professional director. My role shall always be peripheral. Lin Zian asserts confidently. Rehearsals are crammed into lunch breaks, after school, and during physical education classes. Lin Zian, wielding authority, covers the teaching desk with colorful sticky notes, directing anyone who passes by with an air of command. The first act unfolds, the potato chip ambush. In front of the blackboard, Chun Mu Yu pretends to study, stealthily passing notes to Li Waner. Han Dong, feigning sleep in the back row, suddenly leaps up, shouting, Teacher Xiao is on patrol. The classmates below act as if they are performers in a skit, relishing the chaos. Lin Zian, with the director's board in one hand and pointing at Han Dong with the other, commands, maintain the rhythm. Now, insert a classical proverb. Li Waner, wide-eyed, hesitantly recites, in times of hunger, one should not deceive oneself by stealing the crispy delights. Han Dong grins, savoring the moment, and conceals the bag of chips within his desk. Lin Zian improvises, transforming into a character, teasingly stating, You, the students, harboring chips in your bosoms, wish to deceive the heavens and traverse the seas. Who can escape my discerning gaze? The entire class bursts into laughter. Chen Muyu feigns exasperation, slumping on her chair. I, the underachiever, willingly accept my punishment. Teacher Xiao, I am guilty of gluttony, punished for my lack of discipline. As the commotion escalates, Li Waner seizes the moment to play along, raising her textbook, proclaiming, within the pages, there lies the essence of potato chips and joy. The classroom erupts with laughter. Xiao, Simon, can no longer contain himself, his lips twitching as he taps the podium. Is this a language class or a comedy show? A stern teacher indeed cultivates exceptional students. Lin Zian, with utmost seriousness, bows and states, Teacher, you are our inspiration. As rehearsals become increasingly spirited, spontaneous quips and textbook phrases intertwine, transforming a simple script into a grand stand-up comedy. A student secretly records the performance, and within a mere 10 minutes, it circulates through the class group chat, becoming the hottest topic during lunch. The afternoon performance is set. The entire class decorates the podium in advance, sketching a vibrant depiction of the discerning boss on the blackboard. With a model of potato chip bags placed in the far corner of the classroom, Lin Zian, embodying the director's persona, dons 2 recording pins around his neck and pretentiously blesses the actors. Chen Muyu radiates confidence, her lines clear and her expressions full of vigor. She immerses herself in the storyline, even interjecting when Lin Zian introduces the potato chip theft law. You speak as if it is true. Remember to clean up after eating. So the back row has a chance of survival. Witnessing the usually aloof Chun Muyu embracing humor, the girls in the audience can no longer contain their laughter, while Han Dong in the back convulses in amusement. Li Waner adds an improvised voiceover at the end, revealing that the boss, after his nightly rounds, even helps us erase the blackboard, and no one truly wishes to catch him. As the skit concludes, the classroom resonates with thunderous applause. Xiao Siming adjusts his glasses and lightly taps the chalk on the desk. Who says language classes are merely about rote memorization? I must ponder whether a murder mystery could serve as our homework. With laughter and excitement, everyone begins to gather the props. Even the typically reserved Chun Mu pulls Lin Zian aside, saying, Hey, director, should I add some improvised lines next time? Lin Zian winks and replies, Heed the leading lady. We shall be an unbeatable duo. The sunlight slants through the classroom windows, casting a warm glow that brightens every pair of eyes. Amidst the commotion, someone surreptitiously opens a bag of chips, and Han Dong exclaims, The skit has concluded. The tangible reward belongs to me. Li Waner leans against the podium, watching her classmates exchange banter, quietly slipping her storyboard into her textbook, a gentle smile gracing her lips. It seems that this class has finally provided her with the sense of belonging she longed for. Xiao Siming concludes, The theater must innovate. Next class, we shall focus on translating classical Chinese. Here, essay spoiler. The next skit may require an upgraded cast, so prepare your minds and stomachs. As the school bell rings, some rush towards the sports field, while others stroll towards the alley leading to the neighborhood. Amidst the lively chatter, Lin Zian glances at his companions and suddenly realizes that such an afternoon truly embodies the essence of youthful scenery. Outside, the leaves of the phoenix trees gracefully fall, akin to an unending laughter that subtly takes shape in the aftermath. Chapter 9. The storm of campus rumors. The phoenix leaves rustle as they fall outside the window, while remnants of the morning's self-study linger in the classroom. Lin Zian rests his head on the desk, his face pressed against the freshly reviewed textbook. Art springs from life, and life requires relaxation. He can still taste the saltiness of playground dust in his breath. Having just directed a skit in Chinese class, the afterglow remains. But he is abruptly nudged by Han Dong with a relay baton. Quick, check the campus gossip wall. Look at what's blowing up in the group. A hushed murmur fills the corner of the classroom, with the bright lights of smartphone screens illuminating the room. Before Lin Zian can fully comprehend, Muyu has already thrust her screen before his eyes. With a black background and white text, the glaring headline reads, Sophomore for Lin Zian's cheating scandal. Entering the key class through connections? The comments section erupts in a storm, with some mocking while others fan the flames. Is this for real? I heard his grades skyrocketed last year. He has tight with Han Dong, the sport committee guy. Resources come easily. Outwardly comical, but who knows the truth behind it, haha. Lin Zian blinks, his mind initially blank, then a rush of anger surges to his head. Though he is naturally extroverted and often singled out by teachers, the implications of connections and cheating feel like an icy chill creeping down his spine. He glares at the screen, momentarily speechless. Han Dong, on the other hand, is livid. What? Who's spreading this nonsense? You yourself complain about your science grades. How could it be connections? Muyu furrows her brow, quickly shutting off the screen. Let us not react too hastily. The more commotion, the more attention we attract. In the back row, Li Wanner hesitates, wanting to speak but then lowering her drawing pad. Not naturally sociable, she feels her heart race at the sight of Lin Zian's troubled expression. How could such rumors hurt everyone? The class erupts into chaos, with some of the usual instigators gathering around Lin Zian's desk, teasing him. Lin Zian, do you have some big shot backing you up? No wonder you were the star of the relay at the sports meet. Lin Zian takes a deep breath, nearly choking back his instinctive retort. He wants to respond but fears it will only worsen the situation. Instead, he adjusts his uniform collar, muttering almost inaudibly, "What nonsense are you spouting?" Muyu assesses the situation and coldly remarks, "Check the IP on the comment board. It's clear someone is stirring trouble." Han Dong pulls out a chair, ready to confront the gossip wall administrator. Lin Zian stops him with his foot. Don't act impulsively. That only gives them ammunition. Outside, the cheers from the sports field fade into the distance, and the classroom feels as if it has been plunged into a barrel of explosive tension. Suddenly, Xiao Siming enters, as serious as ever, chewing on a segment of orange. He scans the atmosphere in the classroom, noticing the gloom. Lin Zian, your skit added quite a bit of flair. Why the sudden silence? A group of students perk up, and the atmosphere nearly turns into an on-the-spot trial. Lin Zian feigns interest in his homework. It's just the sports committee stirring up trouble. The class gossip is preventing me from focusing on my studies. Xiao Siming glances at him, a flicker of understanding in his eyes, and while peeling the orange, he says, I used to be a moderator on the school forum. Rumors stem from ignorance and thrive on timidity. If you are innocent, do not fear being vilified. Trust your classmates, but more importantly, trust yourself. His words, half joking and half encouraging, acted as a soothing balm for Han Dong, who flushed with indignation and slammed the table, declaring that they would investigate thoroughly and support Zian. Li Wanner finally mustered the courage to speak softly, observing that the messages seemed rather deliberate, with many phrases resembling their usual classroom banter. Han Dong seized Lin Zian's arm and remarked, Wanner, with your keen insight, who revels in gossip the most, and whose speech is most similar? You were scribbling the class representatives' catchphrases in your notebook yesterday. A few classmates began to murmur quietly, the atmosphere transforming into one reminiscent of a suspenseful detective scene. Muyu had already infiltrated the message board's back end, and, with the calm analysis typical of a science student, identified several discrepancies. The messages were posted at 9 o'clock last night, a time when only 2 individuals in the dormitory had Wi-Fi access, with the IP traced back to the second floor of Building 4. Li Wanner secretly revealed her notebook, which contained odd phrases uttered by classmates, such as Lin Zian, the drama king, marked with a tone reminiscent of a certain group leader. Her eyes sparkled as she presented the evidence to Muyu. Leaning against the back of her chair, Muyu flipped through a few pages, a slight smile playing on her lips. The overlap was too significant. It was indeed the words of group leader Zhao Kai, who always stayed up late on his phone. Han Dong exploded in outrage. Recalling that Zhao Kai had been caught cheating on the last chemistry quiz, his sharp tongue likely harboring resentment, and seizing the opportunity to sow discord. The classroom erupted in commotion, with several girls immediately raising their hands in discontent. He always speculating about others' family incomes in the group chat. Lin Zian had intended to make a joke, but felt the need for self-preservation at that moment. Teacher Xiao Siming lowered her voice, asking if they had any evidence. Otherwise, the whole class would suffer the consequences of baseless rumors. Li Wanner cleared her throat and quietly stated, I have chat records. And my notebook contains keywords he often uses for teasing. They can be compared. Muyu spread the notebook across the table, meticulously contrasting the tone of the messages while pulling up the back-end data on her phone. A few tech-savvy classmates volunteered to fetch the administrator, nervously reviewing the back-end IP. In just over 10 minutes, the truth began to emerge. Zhao Kai's face turned pale as he sat in the study area, too frightened to lift his head. However, Xiao Siming refrained from raising her voice in reprimand. Instead, she approached him and quietly said, We are all in the same class. Rumors can be hurtful. Sincerity is what earns trust. After the storm passed, the classroom atmosphere felt as if it had just experienced a thunderstorm, leaving the air clear and bright. Classmates hurried to apologize to Lin Zian, some patting him on the shoulder, saying, Don't play with the baton recklessly in the future. It only invites envy and jealousy. Lin Zian finally regained his playful demeanor, tapping the table and declaring, Next time I perform a skit, I will portray the rumor slayer dedicated to combating nonsense. Han Dong embraced him, proclaiming, The class trusts you because you're the sports committee member. Muyu put away the notebook, unable to suppress a smile any longer, stating that if anyone dared to spread rumors again, the whole class would investigate together. Li Wanner quietly drew a small smiley face by the window, finally whispering to everyone, Actually, I noticed these messages weren't something Zian would say. Autumn sunlight flooded the classroom as cheers erupted from the sports field, heralding a new round of life as challenges. The final new message on the rumor board quietly appeared. Class 4 of Year 2, truly interesting. Only excitement is youth. The shouts from the field echoed once more, signifying that a new round of life-esque contests was about to unfold. Chapter 10. The collision of midterm exams and dreams. The leaves of the parasol trees rustled outside the window as remnants of the early study session lingered in the classroom. Lin Zian donned a crown made of cardboard box, arms spread wide, mimicking the motions of a mock invigilator at the blackboard. Just as his royal inspection commenced, low laughter erupted from the seating arrangements. Zian, with those movements, if you patrol the exam room once, the exam mindset would surely collapse, Han Dong quipped, though he couldn't help but smile. This king is on an inspection. Discipline in the exam room is of utmost importance. Lin Zian asserted, holding up a 9-inch-long math exam paper with a serious expression. Don't make me laugh. With your previous speed in searching for phones during the early study session, you'd be a landmine in the exam room. Chen Muyu commented with a cold demeanor, though her hand quietly slid a neatly organized mistake notebook towards Lin Zian. Staring at the notebook, Lin Zian puffed out his cheeks, asking, Hey, deskmate, can we check this page of dreams first? For the math exam. If I memorize a couple of questions, can I zoom ahead? Last time in a math assessment, you couldn't even find the front of the car. Chen Muyu replied, flipping through her book with a tone that was gentle yet unyielding. The midterm is the day after tomorrow. Can you feel some pressure? Li Wanner, clutching a piece of drawing paper, crouched beside her seat and chimed in, Hey, who was it that said they would use drawing to relieve stress before the exam? Lin Zian, you're on a 5-minute silence. Han Dong interjected, if he can keep quiet for 5 minutes, I'll arrange for the cafeteria to make him a divine omelet rice. The classroom atmosphere thickened, the tension of the upcoming midterm mingling with a hint of playful excitement. Classmates occasionally glanced at the countdown poster on the wall, anxiety etched on their brows. Yet Lin Zian, amidst their gazes, continued to play the role of the invigilator, repeatedly simulating the distribution of exam papers, mathematics, language, even physical education theory. Classmates, please put away your phones and become noble individuals, those who do not fail. Lin Zian had just shouted when the sound of high heels echoed from the corridor, and all the merriment fell silent. Xiao Siming entered, a stack of exam papers in her arms, but a rare smile graced her lips as she said, "Lin, do you want to help me distribute the papers? Or are you preparing to be the skit actor in the exam room?" The class erupted in laughter, prompting Lin Zian to scratch his head and remove the cardboard crown, feeling as if the paper box had lifted a bit of tension. While he assisted in handing out the papers, he secretly used tape to stick classmates' books closed, leading to a mix of laughter and exasperation. Sunlight streamed into the classroom through the floor-to-ceiling windows as a new study period commenced. The sound of pens scratching against paper filled the air with a palpable energy. Han Dong discreetly kicked Lin Zian under the table, asking earnestly, seriously, "Do you have a plan this time?" Lin Zian shrugged, responding, "Before the exam, I only trust the second rule of military strategy. Mindset matters more than scores." Han Dong chuckled while patting his shoulder, but a glimmer of seriousness flickered in his eyes. "Did your parents ask if you're stable?" Lin Zian, feeling a bit defeated, let his shoulders droop. They didn't say much. They just turned off the family Wi-Fi. Chun Muyu adjusted her glasses, her eyes urging him, "You need to stay steady this time. I don't care how you argue. If your grades drop too much, you really end up doing skits in the exam room." The silence grew heavy, and Lin Zian scratched his head, diving into his mistake notebook with fervor. As the self-study period neared its end, Li Wanner suddenly approached the podium, carrying a stack of drawing paper. She gathered her courage, her voice tinged with nervousness. "Everyone, the pressure of exams is too much. Why not use some colorful materials to lighten the mood? Let us each create a drawing and write down our dreams to place on the dream wall before the exam." A murmur swept through the class, with some immediately agreeing while others hesitated. "Dreams? What if the teacher sees and changes my basketball dream into analytical geometry?" Han Dong remarked, scratching his nose. "That's what we call the fusion of sports and ideals," Lin Zian quipped as he snatched a colored pen and drew a vividly colored brain, labeling it, "Dream. After the exam, go eat barbecue." Chun Muyu frowned, but focused intently on her paper, writing about her aspiration to become a psychologist. Though she repeatedly modified the lines, her expression betraying a rare sense of urgency. As Wanner distributed the drawing paper, she discreetly handed an extra sheet to Lin Zian, gently encouraging him, "You should draw your dreams, not just food." Lin Zian blinked, suddenly serious, as he looked at the paper. He illustrated a theater filled with classmates performing skits, while parents and teachers watched, laughing and applauding. He even included himself in the drawing, wearing the crown but quietly seated, surrounded by friends and family, a big happy family. Wanner gazed softly at the drawing paper, then glanced at Lin Zian, sharing a smile. In the afternoon, the classroom buzzed with creativity as paintbrushes stirred the atmosphere, and everyone collaboratively affixed their drawings to the dream wall, right in front of the small blackboard that had long been covered by math papers. The dreams were modest yet tangible and endearing. As the bell rang, shouts from a sports teacher echoed from outside the field. Han Dong waved his hand excitedly. "Final practice before the exam. Let's hit the field." A few boys leaned out of the classroom window and saw Han Dong rushing towards the playground, with Lin Zian hurriedly trailing behind, only to be tugged back by Muyu. "Are you trying to evade your studies with such physical antics?" Lin Zian paused momentarily, then smiled brightly. "Some say the breeze on the court is far more refreshing than the exam papers." Unable to suppress her laughter, Muyu gathered Lin Zian's error notebook in her arms, her voice tinged with a hint of indulgence. "You go run a lap first, and when you return, I will explain the last problem to you." Beside the playground, the sun elongated Han Dong's silhouette. His shooting movements flowed as effortlessly as usual, sweat splattering around him. Outside the court, it seemed that everyone was competing in their own way for dreams and academic success. Lin Zian stood at the edge of the court, gazing at Han Dong and the distant dream wall, suddenly feeling that the ground beneath him was a bit soft. Li Wanner called softly, and he turned to see her quietly affixing the last drawing in the most prominent spot. In that drawing, there were the court, the stage, the classroom, and the sun. The protagonists held colorful umbrellas, laughing and rushing towards their respective ideals. A gust of wind swept through the corridor, lifting the edges of the paper, casting shimmering shadows. Lin Zian felt a gentle stir within, realizing that midterms were merely a collision, and the journey of growth was still unfolding beneath his feet. As the setting sun shone perfectly, he walked back to the classroom with Muyu, facing the wind. In front of the dream wall, the papers swayed gracefully and a colorful halo filled the entire classroom. Everyone's steps seemed to have grown a bit more resolute. Chapter 11. Dreaming in the wilderness the night was as deep as a pot of unexpectedly dehydrated tomato egg soup, and the stars in the sky were lulled into laziness by the neon lights of the southern city, sprinkling only a few silver glimmers on the campsite at the foot of the mountain. Orange tents were lined up, and the bonfire danced in the clearing, casting the flickering light on the relaxed, smiling faces of high school students. "Handong, hurry up! Are you planning to graduate overnight as a porter by carrying all the firewood?" Lin Zian shouted, one hand clutching a bag of chips while the other reached for Handong's firewood. Their habitual camaraderie made it seem as if they were rehearsing for some campus wrestling challenge. "Zian, you're holding food, and your mouth is busier than my hands," which is quite a support for the working class. Handong squatted down with a stance steadier than the bonfire itself. Chun Muyu, wearing her school uniform jacket, hands in her pockets, wore an expression of disdain, but quietly kicked a small stone on the ground. She was never one to seek the spotlight, but having been pulled in by Lin Zian, she had no choice but to sit beside him. "Tonight, with the moon, we will live stream some ghost stories." Lin Zian tossed a piece of wood, his voice brimming with mischievous excitement. "Whoever gets scared first will have to help me with 2 days of homework the day after tomorrow." "Lin Zian, don't be a sore loser," Li Wanner added softly, clutching her sketchbook tightly. She had just completed a sunset drawing and was hoping to find inspiration tonight, only to be completely disrupted by the ruckus of the boys. Outside the tent, the night breeze carried the damp scent of grass, occasionally mingled with the aroma of pine branches burning in the bonfire. Teacher Xiao Simon, wearing a plaid shirt, blended into the crowd like a senior, holding the class activity list and occasionally clearing his throat. Although he intended to maintain order, he often appeared as a typical member of the audience. "Be mindful of the time. Don't play too hard. Tonight, a small-scale pillow talk is permitted, but let us not turn ghost stories into a supernatural incident." He adjusted his glasses, unable to conceal his amusement. Lin Zian cleared his throat, pretending to be solemn. "Everyone, tonight I shall tell you a tale that has circulated in our class, an undeniably true secret." His storytelling was cliché, yet he mimicked the accent of their language teacher, saying, "On a stormy night, when even the duty teacher would be late." As soon as he finished, a chorus of protests erupted. Han Dong snatched the microphone. Indeed, Lin Zian specially brought a Bluetooth speaker and even forced Li Wanner to contribute a ghostly wail. That night, on the blackboard of classroom 401, there appeared a "leave request," he said with a sinister grin, while Lin Zian synchronously wobbled his right leg, pretending to fall at any moment. "No way, that's too fake. The blackboard in classroom 401 only has advanced math problems now." Chun Muyu coldly punctured the atmosphere, prompting a burst of laughter. When it was her turn to tell a story, she did not refuse. Instead, she gently stroked her sleeve, her tone slowing down. "Actually, once during an autumn outing in elementary school, I wondered if I would encounter a ghost. At that time, I really hoped that ghosts were real, so I could hear their troubles, perhaps even fewer than mine." Lin Zian, who had been grinning, suddenly froze. He noticed that under the firelight, Muyu did not wear her usual expressionless face, but rather a glimmer of inexplicable fatigue in her eyes. The bonfire consumed the warmth of the air as laughter gradually faded. A few classmates, enchanted by the stories, patted their shoulders absent-mindedly, while others simply stared at the flames in a daze. Li Wanner mustered her courage and softly said, "If tonight could scare away all my worries, that would be wonderful. Otherwise, I'll have to check if my essay tomorrow is full of nonsense. You usually have a lot on your mind. Saying it out loud now will make your essay richer." Han Dong teased, casually handing Wanner a piece of perfectly toasted marshmallow. The atmosphere felt like a door gently pushed open, becoming softer. Students took turns sharing their fears of failure, mundane family matters. And who had dreamt that the exam classroom transformed into a swimming pool last night? Chun Muyu suddenly lowered her head, her toes brushing against the grass beneath. Her voice was soft, as if speaking to herself. "Actually, sometimes I feel that I live for my parents more seriously than for myself. But when I think about not meeting their expectations, it makes me particularly sad." After saying this, she glanced at Lin Zian as if fearing the air would freeze. He blushed, yet for the first time did not make a joke. Lin Zian awkwardly ruffled his hair, his mouth opening and closing before finally uttering, "Are already quite remarkable. Without you holding it together for our class, I wouldn't have been able to cause such mischief for so long. Indeed, Muyu. You always say we're annoying, but every time their essays stir, you stand in front of us. Handong Shaimadin. Die Valnat cautiously glanced at Muyu. If I could be as stable in my grades as you, every essay would be a poem. Don't change the subject. If anyone mentions studying again tonight, I'll make them have a private ghost story session with Teacher Xiao. Lin Zian dramatically pointed, finally eliciting laughter from the crowd. When the air was still, the only sound was the crackling of the bonfire, with some even softly humming fragments of popular songs. As the night deepened, the tents resembled a row of lanterns filled with secrets. Xiao Siming quietly approached the edge of the tent, listening silently for a while, until the students collectively fell silent. The teacher sat cross-legged, looking at everyone with an unexpected warmth. You little ghosts, tonight you've chatted more than in-class questions, but this is far more interesting than the answers. Actually, back when I was in school, I often felt that effort was futile. I just want to ask, have you ever thought about why we should have ideals? Some shook their heads, while others pretended to yawn. Lin Zian finally ventured, perhaps without ideals, there would be no target for our complaints. Even mischief would have nowhere to go. Well said. Xiao Siming laughed, looking as pleased as a parent receiving good grades before an exam. The process of growing up is all about wrestling with reality. Don't be afraid. You won't lose too disgracefully. A gust of night wind slipped into the tent, and Muyu pulled at her jacket, a barely noticeable smile curling at the corners of her mouth. None of us are truly fearless, teacher. Li Waner gazed seriously at the bonfire, but as long as we can move forward together, fear can become something amusing. A light-hearted laughter gradually spread, wrapping them in a gentle shell of night. Outside the tent, the wind tousled the signs of dawn, and a group of used dreams at the campsite began to quietly ferment. Before dawn, someone murmured in their sleep, tomorrow's path may be difficult, but at least tonight. No one enters dreams alone. Chapter 12. The academic elite strike team on a chilly morning with a sudden drop in temperature. A layer of mist clung to the classroom's floor-to-ceiling windows. Below the blackboard lay the remnants of last night's camping trip. Food packaging, scattered playing cards, and a flashlight that Lin Zian accidentally broke. The air was still imbued with a lingering scent of roasted marshmallows and late-night conversations. Chen Muyu adjusted her school uniform, her hands flipping through a thick stack of physics review materials. She cast a glance toward the small group in the corner of the classroom who were unwrapping instant noodles, her expression as cool as ever, though her voice betrayed a hint of tension. Everyone, we have only 3 weeks left until the finals. She tapped her pen against the desk, the sharp sound reminiscent of a wooden spoon rousing a persimmon. It is time to activate the academic league for battle. Han Dong nearly choked on his mouthful of noodles, startled. The league? What for? To duel with comprehensive science questions? He blinked, muttering, we'll need masks if we fail. We'll go down like superheroes. Lin Zian, busy stuffing a chaotic assortment of notes in his bag, perked up at this. I wholeheartedly agree, but shouldn't there be an initiation ceremony? Or perhaps I could perform a self-rescue role for the finals. We must practice for humiliation in advance. Muyu's lips curved slightly, a rare softness breaking through as she suppressed an impending smile. Enough joking, Zian. She pushed a stack of test papers towards them. You three are the preparatory strike team. Han Dong, you're responsible for discipline. Lin Zian, you are in charge of atmosphere. Waner will coordinate knowledge consolidation, and I will set the pace. Li Waner, sitting by the window with her art book sprawled on the desk, had nearly worn a hole in her bag from her little pencil. She shyly held up a small booklet titled History Boss League, displaying her anthropomorphic drawings of historical figures. I illustrated the late Qing to early Republic period. Kan Yue looks like a curly-haired cactus, while Yang Qichao is a running balloon man. Is this easier to remember? Lin Zian leaned closer to take a look, bursting into laughter. Waner, your drawing captures the expression I had when I was caught sneaking candy in class. Absolutely brilliant. You still dare to sneak food during class? Chen Muyu tapped the desk. Han Dong laughed, raising his hand as if to thump Lin Zian's head. No wonder every time I ask you to recite vocabulary, your words are so muddled. That is the language confidentiality mechanism of the wise. Lin Zian frowned, pretending to be profound, even as he scrambled to flip through Wan Ayer's comic book. Outside, the leaves of the phoenix trees rustled down. A slant of sunlight streamed in. casting a gentle warmth over the classroom and softening the atmosphere of the early study session. Thus, the academic strike team set forth. Following Mu Yu's strategic arrangement to tackle their weaker subjects, Han Dong focused on math problems, furrowing his brow as he scribbled. Wan Er quietly sketched mind maps in the corner of the blackboard, transforming classical Chinese into cute comics. Lin Zian, adept at energizing the mood, mixed cold humor from comprehensive subjects with sport competitions into a knowledge rap that even the neighboring class couldn't help but eavesdrop on. The lively atmosphere, however, could not sustain for long and soon faced resistance. The first learning farce erupted during chemistry class. Lin Zian surprisingly began interviewing Han Dong with a notebook in hand. Han Dong, could you tell us which 3 ions could lead to a glorious turnaround in our final scores? Han Dong retorted immediately, hydrogen ions, iron ions, and mother ions. If your mom intervenes, it's bound to turn around. The whole class erupted in laughter. Chen Muyu frowned and tapped the lectern. We are here to study, not to perform comedy. Zian, I can hardly regain my composure. Realizing he had gone too far, Lin Zian nervously picked up his pen. I promised to only tell one cold joke within the hour. An hour later, he raised his hand silently. Teacher, sulfur dioxide is a toxic love gas, right? Whoever touches it will cry. Get lost. Han Dong laughed so hard he fell on the desk, while Wan Er couldn't help but smile widely. Muyu finally succumbed to a smile, yet she organized everyone to continue tackling difficult problems. The days of concentrated review felt like a tug of war. Each individual brought a touch of humor and outbursts, slowly finding their own rhythm. Past misunderstandings and barriers were gently resolved through the exercise of tackling problems and small disputes. During the lunch break, Wan Er gently approached Lin Zian with her sketchbook, with rice still in his mouth. Lin Zian was handed a knowledge relationship chart. The protagonist was himself, chased by a screen full of knowledge points from various subjects. Look, this is you running to the wrong exam venue, bombarded by all subjects. Wan Er giggled softly, pointing at the chart. But this circle of classmates will always be behind you, holding up umbrellas. Lin Zian paused for a few seconds, then hugged the drawing to his chest. I declare this my favorite drawing of the year. The seriousness that flashed in his eyes quickly transformed into lightheartedness amidst the jovial laughter. The atmosphere warmed through such small disasters. Yet new conflicts arose unexpectedly. One midday, during a study session, Han Dong was absent due to an impromptu sports meeting. Suddenly, a sharp voice from a girl pierced the air. Lin Zian, are you leading the fun? The exam is approaching, and everyone is watching you make a fool of yourself. The air thickened at once. Lin Zian clenched his jaw, ready to retort, but was intercepted by Muyu. The academic league is not a joke. We are working hard. Anyone who wants to study can join us at any time. Wan Er cautiously stood up, smiling gently at the girl. Actually, Zian is more focused on studying than I am. He just likes to lighten the mood. At that moment, Han Dong strode in through the back door, his voice booming. If Lin Zian continues to fool around, I'll make him run 3 laps on the court. But he is genuinely studying. A few words shattered the accusations, and the atmosphere warmed again. The 4 exchanged glances, their eyes sparkling with the camaraderie and tenacity that only a team possesses. As the evening study session concluded, the corridor lights glowed warmly. Muyu Kalach had homework, walking shoulder to shoulder in the group. Lin Zian was the first to tease. Shouldn't the league have an anthem? How about we write one together, titled Studying Without Napping? Han Dong chimed in, keeping rhythm. Come on, Muyu can be the lead singer, and Wan Er can dance. Zian, you'll harmonize, but you must stay in tune throughout. Wan Er blushed like the evening sky, embarrassed yet sparkling with excitement. The group made their way noisily towards the rooftop. The lights on the playground twinkled, and from afar, the sounds of recitation and the rhythm of sneakers dragging on the ground could be heard. They tugged and pulled at each other, kicking up clouds of dust, as if genuinely forming a small fleet of guardians for one another. As night deepened, the teaching building gradually quieted amidst the clamor, leaving only the gentle evening breeze of Nan Chung weaving between the windows and corridors. Review materials lay scattered across the floor, with unresolved anxieties lingering. Yet an increasing abundance of courage and friendship filled their hearts. Before leaving, Muyu wrote on the last page of her homework, "With you all here, I fear no difficult comprehensive questions." Lin Zian quietly added beside her, "Even if we fail the exam, the league will continue to create chaos. The four stepped out of the classroom together, the evening glow stretching their shadows behind them. Each felt a vague certainty that the road ahead would present even greater challenges. Yet as long as they fought side by side, no storm would be too great to face with laughter. Chapter 13. Campus culinary competition. The air in the classroom still hung with the aftershocks of the previous night's academic league. Lin Zian fiddled with the science review cards that Mu Yu had stuffed into his hands, while dipping a small knife used for peeling apples into Han Dong's spicy strips, muttering, "To excel in exams, one must be fueled. How can one solve problems on an empty stomach?" Sunlight lazily streamed through the window, illuminating Li Wan's freshly drawn poster of the class dream tree. She giggled, holding her stomach. "Lin Zian, your stomach hasn't been empty, has it? You've devoured all the snacks in the class." Seizing the moment, Han Dong slapped the table. "We, the vanguard of foodies, cannot be satisfied with mere classroom antics. How about exploring restaurants together outside this weekend? The culinary map of Nanchung awaits our conquest." As soon as he finished speaking, Mu Yu raised her eyes, still bearing the remnants of her studying demeanor. "A culinary competition? Are you planning to turn our stomachs into a battlefield or a wasteland?" Yet she couldn't help but twitch her lips, clearly tempted. Upon hearing this, Lin Zian immediately leaped up, pretending to blow a whistle. "I shall lead the charge. Whoever dares to contest me for the first order is a traitor in the culinary world." Li Wan promptly pulled down a class badge, feigning a bulging pocket. "Lin Zian, if you want a free meal, you must first pass my test. I rank second on the class foodie leaderboard. You must be cautious of your culinary credibility." Han Dong chimed in with a witty remark. "Last time, Wan ordered 12 types of ingredients for her spicy hot pot," leaving the server utterly dumbfounded. Li Wan protested her intention to retaliate, but was met with Lin Zian offering her a spicy snack. "Persuasiveness comes from consumption. Wan, you need to step up, or the leaderboard will be reshuffled." Behind them, Mu Yu finally turned around and asked earnestly, "Are we really going? Your events always seem to stir up trouble. What if it turns into a pillow fight, like the last time we went to the court?" Lin Zian immediately waved his hand, pretending to assure her, "I promise no verbal sparring, no food throwing, and no forcing the cafeteria staff to work late into the night." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire class erupted in laughter, knowing full well that such promises were hardly reliable. The atmosphere ignited, and everyone eagerly signed up, some focusing on desserts, others specializing in Sichuan cuisine, transforming the class into a bustling marketplace with each individual shouting about their culinary dreams. At that moment, a stir came from outside the door. Teacher Xiao Siming, with a bachelor's bag slung over his shoulder, was preparing to sneak into his office to catch up on class notes, but his attention was drawn to the food frenzy inside the classroom. "What heavenly dishes are you plotting this time? It wouldn't hurt to include me. After all, I'm the old cured meat in the rice cake." Lin Zian promptly bounced over and teased, "Teacher Xiao, if you're not invited, we'll be missing a tasting judge. If we end up with something from a black market kitchen, who will help us mitigate the losses?" Xiao Siming retorted with a mock seriousness. "I'm coming to prevent you from being too glib. Judgment should not be based on mere words." Yet his eyes clearly gleamed with eager anticipation. With the activity tentatively planned, the class began to form food reconnaissance teams. Han Dong called for a division of tasks. Mu Yu would handle the strategy. The class monitor would manage the map, Wanner would serve as the financial officer, and Lin Zian would be responsible for creating an enjoyable atmosphere, with a strict prohibition against sneaking food. Chun Mu Yu habitually raised her hand to tuck a few stray strands of hair behind her ear. "We need to check reviews and the environment first. Value for money and safety are paramount. We cannot rely solely on taste." She pulled out her phone, scrolling through reviews while chattering. "My dad says food safety is of utmost importance. Don't just focus on free drinks." Lin Zian leaned back in his chair, mimicking teacher Xiao's tone. "Your father's safety standards need an upgrade in our realm. Anyone caught sneaking snacks must confess on the spot." Meanwhile, Li Wanner took the opportunity to quietly jot down everyone's preferences, her gaze often lingering on Lin Zian, inadvertently lifting the corners of her mouth. Han Dong devised a one-stop foodie action plan, and everyone followed him around on the phone map, the scene chaotic like a stock market opening. Mu Yu calmly directed, "Let us first determine the meeting point. Otherwise, finding food will be more challenging than the college entrance exam." Lin Zian was discontent. Group activities should have an element of entertainment. Eating isn't an exam. Who says we can't check in and take photos? Mu Yu frowned. If we're taking pictures, they should be meaningful, like capturing the moment Lin Zian cries from the spice. The class erupted in laughter. Even Xiao Siming couldn't contain himself, playfully tapping Lin Zian's head. If you had known you would cry, you could have scored 2 more points last semester. As the weekend arrived, the food exploration team finally gathered at the entrance of Nan City Alley. The aroma wafting from the Jianbing stand on Dongfeng Road was irresistible. And Lin Zian was the first to rush over, ordering double portions of the super spicy variety. Li Wanner was still calculating expenses when Han Dong dragged her to taste the newly opened Japanese rice balls. Mu Yu stood in line and, uncharacteristically, volunteered. Let me show you how to use the group purchase vouchers. Securing a good price is key. Her fingers deftly maneuvered over her phone as she rapidly tapped on WeChat red envelopes, showcasing her prowess and life skills. Mu igreku. Your money-saving skills are pushing me to learn financial management. Lin Zian leaned closer, teasing her. She rolled her eyes yet placed the group purchase voucher on the counter, the corners of her mouth curving upwards. If you can afford to eat, you must also ensure it's worthwhile. Nearby, teacher Xiao Siming, however, found the chili peppers too overwhelming and quietly selected the mildest option, commenting, "Students know how to save money. I only know how to avoid spice." The sounds of eating and laughter intertwined, creating the most joyful of melodies. Han Dong spearheaded a spicy challenge. Li Wanner excitedly recorded it, while Lin Zian and Mu Yu engaged in witty banter. Whoever faltered from the heat had to seize water, and whoever did so faced financial restrictions from the financial officer. Suddenly, teacher Xiao Siming appeared on camera, volunteering to take on the spiciest challenge. After one bite, he broke a sweat, causing the class to roar with laughter. And the selfie nearly turned into a food horror shot. As dusk fell, the culinary journey continued. Skewers, ming dea, crispy meth, and candied hawthorn were consumed in a relay-like fashion, with Lin Zian steadfastly leading the charge, finally being intercepted by Wanner at the candied hawthorn stand. First pay, then take photos. You're not allowed to sneak a bite. Mu Yu, holding the group purchase voucher, meticulously checked the accounts, reminding everyone, enjoy yourselves, but let us not let our wallets weep. Everyone, practice rational consumption. Han Dong, while paying, dramatically declared, Foodie Alliance, mission accomplished. On the way back to school, everyone was still buzzing with excitement. Lin Zian, chewing on a last skewer, suddenly turned to Mu Yu. Mu Yu, let us organize a money-saving foodie group next time. You are the real leader here. Mu Yu, rarely smiling, softly replied, next time, we need a healthy division. Let us not just eat spicy food. Li Wanner pieced together the culinary memories into a new page of the class dream tree, while Han Dong and Lin Zian tussled over a phone, creating a ruckus in the breeze. Teacher Xiao Siming walked at the back, gazing at the jubilant students, lightly clearing his throat as if to establish some order, but ultimately just smiled and said, now this feels like a real class. As night gradually descended, the campus lights illuminated the surroundings. Everyone returned to Nan City High School, their bellies content and hearts warm, adding a new hue to the youth memories that belonged to this class. Chapter 14. The Craze of Star Chasing and the Dimensional Wall Wanner. The poster you drew feels a bit idol group-like, doesn't he? Han Dong, picking at his lunch with chopsticks, asked in a teasing manner. Li Wanner was taken aback. She had merely wanted to make the dream more vibrant, yet her artwork was inexplicably shared and fervently discussed in the class group. It can't be that serious. I just referenced the style. Lin Zian's eyes lit up, and he immediately added, Sister Wanner, with this color scheme, you're likely to debut soon, right? Haven't all the classes at our school been going crazy over the Nan City Dimensional Prince's livestream lately? You aren't a diehard fan, are you? Li Wanner's face flushed instantly, her mouth twisting as she stammered. I am not. I just think they work really hard. Laughter erupted in the classroom. However, just as the laughter began, a group of girls in the corner had already surrounded Wanner, some waving their phones to browse trending topics, while others pulled her over. Wanner, are you drawing that little prince's face? Do you know something? Even Chen Mu Yu cast a glance at Wanner, her expression neutral but clearly intrigued. The star-chasing craze erupted, much like the 3 sycamore trees at the back of the classroom, growing wildly in a single morning. During the self-study period of the second afternoon class, even before the bell rang, a fervent division had formed at the front of the classroom. The online idol, Nan City Dimensional Prince, had exploded in popularity after last night's live stream, with topics encompassing a variety of memes. I heard he streamed until 1 o'clock last night and even read fan essays. I got retweeted. A boy exclaimed, waving his phone excitedly. Handong Skofet, P50. The dimensional wall is so high. Do you all really want to meet him? How about we hold a fan meeting today? Lin Zian immediately chimed in. I'm in. Our class is sorely lacking in outlandish activities. It's perfect that Warner can head the fan club, and we can vote for a class live version. A star-chasing declaration conference. As soon as he finished speaking, the classroom burst into commotion. Longtime fans and newcomers began to argue. And even the usually quiet physics class representative rummaged through her desk for idol merchandise stickers. Li Warner was flabbergasted, her eyes glimmering with confusion as she quietly protested. I'm not. Don't tease me. Isn't this kind of event usually hosted by the student council? Lin Zian snapped his fingers, precisely because you're not. That's what makes it most promising. How about I arrange a real-life fan confession show? Warner, you just need to sit in a chair, and we'll handle the rest. The once tranquil self-study session was ignited by a few words, desks and chairs rattling. Even teacher, Xiao, Simon couldn't help but peek into the classroom from the hallway. The event was set for the last row of the classroom. Lin Zian stood at the center of the confession stage, holding a chalkboard eraser aloft, as if it were a microphone, exuding an aura of confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, today we bear witness to a grand declaration that transcends dimensions. The protagonist, Li Warner, let the supporting team gather around. The mobile cameras swept over the crowd, which erupted in cheers, with notes being passed around. Warner, go for it. The little prince understands you best. Just as the excitement was about to reach a fever pitch, Chunmu Yu coldly remarked, do you only know how to idolize? Don't you aspire to be the next little prince? Her voice was soft, yet instantly silenced the room. The lively atmosphere of the class seemed to deflate like a balloon, drawing in its exuberance. Some whispered in dissent. Isn't that really difficult? They are famous for a reason. We are not the main characters. Muyu pressed her lips together and calmly replied. You always envy those on stage, yet forget that you too can be the protagonist. It's fine to idolize, but don't just gaze upward. Lin Zian was momentarily at a loss for words. Having been playful all along, he found himself speechless in the face of Muyu's profound declaration. Han Dong, on the other hand, secretly chuckled, teasing Zian, it seems you won't be the main character today, but rather a supporting role. Li Warner appeared inspired, biting her lip and softly expressing, sometimes I worry that I want to have stage of my own. At that moment, the class atmosphere shifted to a complex mix, with laughter revealing a hint of seriousness. The bell rang, and teacher Xiao Simon strolled in leisurely, holding a cactus he had nurtured. As he entered, he feigned an authoritative tone, casting a sidelong glance at Lin Zian. Why is the class so lively? Is there a new idol debuting? Or is it our little Lin going live? Lin Zian quickly seized the opportunity. Teacher Xiao, why not join us as a guest narrator? Today we are holding a debate on idolization versus dreams. The entire class erupted in applause, the scene both awkward and hilarious. Xiao Simon, unfazed, chuckled as he placed the cactus on the podium. All right, since everyone is so enthusiastic, I shall be the judge. Tell me, which is more important, idolization or pursuing dreams? He pointed to two camps, Lin Zian and Li Warner's group advocating for idolization as innocent, while Chunmu Yu and Han Dong's group argued for prioritizing dreams. Viewing idols merely as references, students clustered into factions, the atmosphere intensifying. Lin Zian banged on the table. I'll go first. Idolization is about seeking joy, is the most worthwhile investment of youth. If you've never idolized, you'll never know your potential. Li Warner spoke softly, twisting the corner of her shirt. When our idols strive, we feel their strength and develop aspirations for ourselves. But dreams must be realized through our own efforts. Han Dong gesticulated animatedly. Old Lin. That's not right. You work hard at idolization, but don't you also give your all on the basketball court? Having idols is fine, but don't become a mindless follower. Chunmu Yu's voice was calm, yet resolute. Liking an idol is a human instinct. What matters is maintaining one's self-identity. Just like writing an essay, it's not about mimicking an idol's style, but expressing your truth in your own way. Otherwise, you merely exist in the eyes of others. The debate morphed into a miniature intellectual concert, bursting forth with quotable wisdom and humor. Some pursued their idols until dawn, while others treated autographs as heirlooms. What do you think of this? Han Dong tweeted. Lin Zian flashed a peace sign. If an idol helps you excel academically, then idolization is also a pursuit of dreams. Xiao Siming, observing the debate grow increasingly lively, suddenly raised the cactus high. A cactus can bloom. Can anyone explain how this principle applies to pursuing dreams? Laughter erupted in the classroom, with some eagerly responding resilience. Idols achieve fame through persistence. Liwanera's eyes sparkled with gentle light, seemingly finding her stance. I draw because I love it, and I hope one day to be seen like an idol. In that instant, the fervor of idolization intertwined with the warmth of dreams, creating a unique tapestry of youthful aspirations. As the debate concluded, the classroom gradually returned to tranquility. Warner gathered her painting supplies, while Lin Zian draped an arm around Han Dong's shoulder, cheerfully summarizing. In our class, there are no distinct main or supporting roles. Everyone can debut. The autumn breeze rustled the branches of the dream tree outside, sunlight filtering through the scattered leaves into the peaceful classroom. Chen Muyu quietly advised Vanya. Next time you draw, don't worry about what others think. Li Warner nodded, her eyes shimmering with newfound light. Xiao Siming wrote on the board. Idolization is innocent, but pursuing dreams is even more precious. He turned with a smile. You all must become your own idols. Lin Zian gazed toward the classroom door, a flicker of anticipation stirring within. Perhaps, in a not-so-distant future, he too could stand upon the stage where everyone gazes up in admiration. The commingling of laughter and earnestness in the classroom was quietly brewing the next extraordinary youth carnival. Chapter 15. The Selfie Storm and the Crisis of Cliques Muyu. Is the gesture of the person you drew a tribute to the popular idol's meme photo tsunami? Lin Zian grinned mischievously, switching his phone to selfie mode, striking an exaggerated peace sign while shaking it at Chen Muyu and Li Wanner. The residual warmth from the previous class lingered, the atmosphere bubbling like soda on a scorching pavement. Though the debate on idolization had drawn to a close, restlessness emerged in a new form. That day, the class magazine suddenly announced, for the upcoming issue's youth self-portrait column, each class must submit a creative selfie, with full participation required and humorous composition encouraged. Selfie? Are we serious? Can we use filters without restraint? If I don't edit my selfie, I might as well drop out. Han Dong quoted, eliciting a round of good-natured laughter. If you must edit, at least enlarge your head. Lin Zian jested, swiftly retrieving the battle cards for facial expressions he had prepared, distributing them like playing cards. Chen Muyu raised an eyebrow, but did not decline, glancing at the cards. What are these, task cards? Exactly. They're the gritting teeth expression, the shocked expression, and even the groundhog scream. Lin Zian's eyes sparkled. Come on, whatever you draw. The class magazine will have a stock of humor for the photos. Isn't that honest enough? Han Dong drew the boxer pose card, instantly standing by the podium, winking and raising his fists. Who dares to challenge me? Li Wanner drew the pondering pose and instinctively chuckled, just about to say she was naturally the daydreaming type, when Lin Zian pushed her into formation with everyone else. Students gathered in a circle, striking poses while laughter and the sound of camera shutters echoed. Usually reserved, Zhou Zihao attempted a biting his finger expression, while in the background, someone pretended to cry, twisting into a pretzel-like shape. It was unclear who started it, but the classroom's sense of safety soared, and shyness vanished. Amid the laughter, it was Chen Muyu's turn. She maintained a poised demeanor, even on programs, sporting her long straight hair and serious expression. Lin Zian mysteriously slipped her the Tofu Girl cosplay card, struggling to suppress laughter. Muyu, strike a pose. Class 9's most beautiful foodie, none other than you. In the midst of the commotion, Chen Muyu bit her lip, her cheeks flushed, and suddenly donned an awkward headband, dramatically showcasing a rubber block in a comically unappealing manner, pouting her lips, squinting her eyes, pretending to munch on the rubber. The class fell silent for 2 seconds before erupting into uncontrollable laughter. Wow, even the academic goddess is human. Goodness, Muyu, you have so much potential. The camera shutters clicked in rapid succession, each frame more outrageous than the last. Lin Zian proudly declared, a historic moment. The goddess's embarrassing history will forever be immortalized in the class magazine. Before Muyu could set down her utensils and recover from her moment of vulnerability, whispers of doubt began to circulate in the comments section. Is this really suitable for the magazine? Won't it be too unrefined? Some students who were not keen on being silly stepped back, struggling with their poses. The atmosphere momentarily settled. Liwana noticed that the calligraphy club and the sports clique were taking photos in two separate groups, sensing a hint of unease. If this Group S photo gets published, will we be criticized for lacking decorum? Zhou Xiaocheng whispered anxiously, a hint of competitive tension in her tone. Don't worry. What's the worst that could happen? We might lose a few points. You should be about having fun. Muyu dares to take silly selfies. So what are you afraid of? Lin Zian instinctively tried to ease the situation, a plethora of pencil lead cards tucked behind his ears, resembling a chaotic captain. Han Dong, holding a copy of Lan Xiaoxianyan, perched himself on the windowsill and shouted, "Our class isn't a beauty pageant. If the teacher is going to assess our looks, we might as well all wear masks." Yet, amidst this jovial atmosphere, a few girls in the corner began collectively experimenting with filters on their phones, taking selfies and refusing to join the group photo. Liwana caught sight of them. Their constant bickering was evident, with some rolling their eyes and others muttering in discontent. "We want to take elegant photos too. Don't let the silly ones include me." The warmth that should have permeated the room suddenly turned awkward. The expression battle had unexpectedly transformed into a contest of selfie styles. "Why not take another set?" Liwana quietly approached, her smile softening the moment. Everyone can choose their favorite style. It's perfectly fine to shoot separately. However, to her surprise, Wang Yi, who often aligned with Lin Zian, quipped, "Those who are posting in the class group tonight need to have a unified style. You're not going to pull the distinguished student routine, are you?" No, Liwana stammered, shaking her head, her voice somewhat airy. The atmosphere fell into a brief silence. Lin Zian, eager to respond, found himself at odds with Wang Yi, prompting Han Dong to swiftly intervene and propose a playful group voting session. Those who enjoy quirky photos on one side, and those who prefer a more reserved demeanor on the other. No one can look down on anyone. He waved his hands, and surprisingly, both factions formed nearly equal lines. The silly camp faced the aloof alliance, each side keeping to themselves, creating an oddly tense atmosphere. Chen Muyu suddenly fixed her gaze on Lin Zian, softly articulating, "Your fun party turned into a factional divide?" There was no blame in her tone, only a hint of genuine fatigue hidden in her confusion. Lin Zian paused, almost said, "I miscalculated. I didn't expect my goodwill would turn me into a divisive coach." Liwana, biting her pen, tugged at Muyu's sleeve. "Actually, everyone just wants to look good in photos, fearing that the unflattering ones might become eternal, embarrassing history. It's perfectly normal. It's not your fault." Muyu was taken aback, glancing at her earnest and gentle face, then suddenly chuckled. "Warner, are you a peace angel today? Then I must be the legendary group darling. The fire extinguisher." Liwana rarely teased, prompting Lin Zian and Han Dong to join in the banter. Yet, the atmosphere remained tense. Just then, their homeroom teacher, Xiao Siming, stepped into the room, surveying the peculiar formations, adjusting his glasses and clearing his throat. "What national-level project are you all preparing for?" Instantly, everyone awkwardly regrouped their actions. Han Dong quickly chimed in, "Xiao Ge, our class has divided into the aloof Iron Brigade and the silly Celestial team. Which do you think could make it to the CCTV Spring Festival Gala?" "Spring Festival Gala? You all should first consider if you can make it to the school magazine cover." Xiao Siming replied seriously, managing a smile. "I see. Those who want to be silly can continue, and those who prefer an artistic vibe can keep beautifying. The key is that the group photo must embody our collective spirit. The magazine cover isn't about a star-studded showcase, but whether 46 hearts can come together." Lin Zian seemed enlightened. "How about we conclude with a puzzle group photo?" Chen Muyu nodded, dividing into style groups, each representing a different aspect of youth, and in the end, piecing together a cohesive picture. The atmosphere in the classroom finally softened. Each group took their uniquely styled selfies, which Liwana later combined into a grand mural. Some grinning, some aloof, some studious, and some adorably naive. All the embarrassing history was woven together, ultimately becoming a radiant testament to their shared youthful experience. The bright sun streamed through the gauzy curtains, casting warmth on each shoulder. Lin Zian snapped his fingers. "From now on, if anyone dares to dig up our embarrassing past, just flip through the class magazine. If you can, let the whole history be stamped just for you." Laughter erupted around them. In the distance, the shouts from the basketball court echoed, while the wind by the window swirled papers into little eddies. That unique class portrait became the unfiltered snapshot of their season of youth. Chapter 16. The Home Visit Adventure. Lin Zian. This task is entrusted to you. Take us on a home visit, ensure our safe arrival, and rewards await upon completion. Xiao Siming, the mathematics teacher, commanded while carrying an incongruous cloth bag, his voice echoing towards Lin Zian. Just moments ago, the classroom had been bustling with the selfie expression competition, but its atmosphere was reignited by this adventurous announcement. Lin Zian dramatically flicked the sleeves of his school uniform and exaggeratedly bowed. Understood. This guide promises not to get lost, only charming. Han Dong, clutching a basketball, chuckled. What if you mistakenly lead us to the wrong house? Are you planning to perform a dance as an apology? Li Waner buried her face in her books, too shy to look up, revealing only a fringe of delicate bangs, resembling a personified little hamster. Chen Muyu flicked a pen cap across the desk, her voice soft. A home visit isn't a household check. My parents wouldn't dare let you come. The group exited the classroom like untethered ponies, with Lin Zian leading the way. Han Dong taking the lead, Li Waner trailing with tiny steps, while Chen Muyu intentionally walked a few paces behind, displaying her indifference towards this public family lesson. Voices of the physical education teacher echoed down the corridor, and Han Dong raised his basketball. Xiao Laosher, next week S-class basketball game. You must come to watch. Xiao Siming smiled, casting a sly glance at Lin Zian. Watching is fine, but home visits take precedence. Otherwise, everyone will have to bring their own review materials. Lin Zian shifted the topic. Let us head to Han Dong's house first. His mother's braised pork is said to make atomic structures feel blissful. Han Dong lekit hetili. My home has a strict rule. Any teacher who enters must undergo a culinary judgment. In the blink of an eye, the group turned into a quiet residential area, where children chased and played, and the autumn air blanketed the ground with fallen leaves, crunching underfoot. Lin Zian exaggerated his steps, even providing a commentary on the neighborhood's road conditions, causing Han Dong's mother to chuckle from below. Hello, teacher. Han Dong's mother greeted warmly, her eyes radiating kindness. This child, Han Dong, is quite the handful. It's all thanks to his good friends in your class. Xiao Siming replied with a smile. Han Dong is our athletic representative and the class's joybringer. Regarding his studies, he is quite assertive. Upon hearing this, Lin Zian quickly added, Teacher, Han Dong has many opinions, especially about the cafeteria. They settled around the dining table, where Han's mother served a pot of braised pork. Boys, eat more, and girls, don't hold back either. The atmosphere instantly shattered the formality of the classroom. Han Dong served Lin Zian some meat, pointing with his chopsticks. Zian, don't just talk. You need to think more during exams. Xiao Siming engaged in a dialogue with Han's mother about school-home collaboration. Han's mother shared the bittersweet aspects of single parenting. Her tone lighthearted. I rely on nagging and good food to maintain Han Dong's motivation to study. Just keep an open mind. It's good for the child to have opinions. Lin Zian chewed on the meat, mumbling, Annie, your secret is actually a combination of nagging, delicious food, and divine assistance from the table. Muyu is truly the ace. Chen Muyu glanced up, her expression serious. What can you help besides eating? Xiao Siming laughed heartily. You are the secret weapons of mutual belonging. The room was filled with playful banter. Even the braised pork seemed to carry a hint of youthful flavor. After the first home visit concluded, they proceeded to Chen Muyu's house. Her residence was in a high-end community, with glass doors exuding a sense of coolness. Her father wore a crisp suit, and her mother was gentle, yet somewhat strict. During the conversation, Xiao Siming lightened the mood with a mathematical riddle. Is Muyu feeling pressure from exams? Do you think adjustments are necessary? Chen's father coughed lightly. We hope to cultivate her independent competitiveness and encourage her to be more proactive. Muyu clasped her water cup, her fingertips silently twirling. Lin Zian observed her. Your parents are actually stricter than mine. Aren't they afraid of installing learning cameras at home? Mu igreku smerkt sideways. Don't worry, if they do, I'll switch to programming at the first opportunity. Han Dong shifted the topic. Actually, Muyu is better than the boys at basketball. She is super focused. Chen Muyu shot him a look that said, You finally said something sensible. Xiao Siming emphasized the importance of collaboration between home and school, taking the opportunity to dismantle Muyu's rational facade. Student pressure isn't necessarily a bad thing, but occasionally, one must leave some gaps for themselves. Even daydreaming can be a form of progress. As they prepared to depart, Chen Ma cheerfully handed out fruit to everyone, prompting Lin Zian to jest. Annie, could we perhaps enjoy an endless supply of fruit during our next home visit? I shall take charge of the evaluation. The third stop of their journey led them to Li Wanner's residence. Traversing an old alley, they arrived at the tranquil yet inviting entrance of a family renowned for their literary heritage. Within Wanner's home, books adorned every corner, while her paintings, characterized by soft hues and captivating expressions, graced the walls. Wanner discreetly offered pastries, softly inviting everyone to take a seat. As Lin Zian admired her artwork, he remarked with earnestness, "Wanner, the cat in your painting possesses a deeper understanding of melancholy than I do." Wanner's cheeks flushed slightly as she emitted a soft meow. Her parents, upon seeing the teachers, appeared refined, yet it was evident they were protective of their daughter. Xiao Siming expressed his admiration. Although Wanner is introverted, she possesses a keen observational skill and creativity. Wanner's mother cautioned, "She is merely timid. She seeks refuge in corners when the wind blows too fiercely. Teachers, please take special care." Han Dong's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Timidity is not an issue. Even the champion of shyness in our class fears dogs. We shall make it our mission to keep her smiling." As they sipped tea, the warm ambience of Wanner's home inspired discussions about dreams. Summoning her courage, Li Wanner spoke in a barely audible voice, "I wish to learn to paint, but I fear the teachers might deem it impractical." Lin Zian reassured her, "Your art is not only practical, but also evokes a sense of inferiority within us." Before his words could fully settle, laughter erupted throughout the room. As they prepared to leave, Xiao Siming earnestly addressed Wanner's parents. "The essence of a scholarly atmosphere and shyness are not mutually exclusive. Your daughter possesses a beautiful spirit. In our class, everyone could discover their own stage." With the home visits concluded, the group felt as though they had traversed a miniature world of the city. From serene neighborhoods to bustling alleys, the sense of the buildings and hues of the homes varied distinctly, yet every place resonated with the connection between youth and family. Upon returning to the school gates, the evening light elongated Lin Zian's expression as he stood beneath a street lamp, shaking his phone and calling out to his teammates. "Our home visit team must next venture into dreamers' homes. Who has tales of the supernatural to share?" Han Dong playfully placed a basketball atop his head. "As long as we don't visit a gym, I'm willing to join the program." Chen Muyu smiled softly. "Can we truly separate learning from home? At times, we may simply wish for companionship along the journey." Li Wanner, organizing her bag, chuckled gently. "Thank you all for accompanying me home today." As night fell, they walked side by side into the campus. The noise, confusion, and laughter were softly illuminated by the streetlights. The next chapter of their youthful adventure was quietly brewing in their warm gazes. Chapter 17. The silent basketball game. It's a bit spicy. Han Dong's voice emerged muffled from behind his water bottle. He took a sip at the dining table, his gaze fixed on an old basketball, his fingers unconsciously tapping the edge of the table. Lin Zian, maintaining the smooth tone he had used during yesterday's home visit, teased him, "Dong Ge, are you afraid that the final exam will be so brutal that you'll end up crying in the ball?" Han Dong managed a strained smile. "Who am I to dare? If I cry, I'll need you beside me. With your physics grades, I'd be worried you might drown without a life preserver." Their banter continued. Wally Wanner held a drawing board in one hand and carefully handed Han Dong a small card with the other. Han Dong, this is the mascot of the Victory Tiger team. I've drawn you and Zian in super cool poses on the court. Han Dong lowered his head, his large hand brushing the card's corners, a flicker of surprise crossing his eyes. He did not say thank you, but softly replied, "Great. I'll definitely bring it to the game." Nearby, Chen Muyu gently nudged Lin Zian with her elbow. "Don't be too rowdy. Dong Zisnt in the right state. Did you see his mother last night?" Lin Zian moderated his teasing, focusing on Han Dong with a quieter tone. "Dong Ge, why don't you take it easy for this match? The finals are approaching, and your mom needs you to look after her. You don't have to push yourself." Han Dong shook his head, absently rubbing his fingers over the basketball's surface, the creases and scuffs mirroring his inner worries, pressed repeatedly. "No, I signed up, and I will see it through. My mom said a man must keep his word." A brief silence enveloped the air, broken only by the subtle sound of Li Wanner's pencil sketching on the drawing board. Before long, the classroom bell shattered the stillness. Teacher Xiao Siming entered with a lively step, carrying a bag of peculiar-flavored dried tofu. "Who said they would treat me to the inter-school basketball game today? I brought snacks, so don't leave me sitting on the sidelines." Lin Zian slapped the table, his energy returning. "Teacher, the cheer squad is already assembled. The whole class must attend." No one dares to skip. Shout, Simon grunted, tossing the dried tofu onto the podium. The honor of the class must be upheld. But Han Dong, don't overexert yourself. Your body isn't as resilient as you think. Han Dong murmured in acknowledgement, though his eyes retained an unyielding determination. After lunch, the school team's court buzzed with an unusual excitement. Outside the gym, the neon lights from the commercial district faintly seeped in, casting shadows of the uneven high rises across the ground. Students flocked in, with Lin Zian leading the cheer squad, waving a hand-painted banner that read, "Donggu will triumph." Lin Zian supports all the way. Chun Mu-yu, unusually clad in clean white sports pants, stood at the forefront of the cheer squad, her rare nervousness tempered by a barely perceptible smile. Seizing the moment, Li Waner took photos and sketched, rendering Han Dong's face with an exaggerated heroic flair. As the referee's whistle signaled the start of the game, Lin Zian led the cheer squad in a spirited chant, "Go Dong Go. Even a ball fears you." Amidst the laughter, Han Dong appeared somewhat detached. His movements on the court, though steady, seemed burdened. Li Waner gripped her paintbrush tighter, her hands trembling slightly as she sketched. The opposing team played aggressively, and the score began to slip away. Lin Zian leaped from the audience, shaking a giant cartoon glove while shouting, "Han Dong, if you remain unenthused, I'll immortalize you on the school wall as a warning." The cheer squad erupted in laughter. During halftime, Han Dong crouched at the sidelines and quietly picked up Li Waner's small card, his eyes betraying a complex mix of emotions. Lin Zian bounded over, shoving the ball into his hands. "You two need to stop sulking. Dong-gu, usually your mouth is quicker than the ball. Why are you muted today?" Han Dong struggled to smile, his gaze fixed on the highlights of the gym. "My mom's blood pressure spiked again yesterday. The doctor suggested hospitalization. I originally planned not to come, but this game was a promise I made. I'm worried about failing my exams and my family. Suddenly, I feel like I'm losing control of everything." Lin Zian patted his shoulder. "You may not control the exam questions or the hospital, but you can control the present. If you feel like crying on the court, then do so. If you can run, then run. If you want to show your mom your strength, then demonstrate how firmly you stand." Chun Mu-yu joined in, sharing a rare moment of synchrony with Lin Zian. "You must learn to cope with pressure. In truth, we all have our fears. Win first, then head to the hospital. Those who can endure are never alone." Han Dong remained silent, yet Lin Zian sprang back to life. "Muigreku speaks wisely. Our team does not lack your solitary struggle. Tonight, it all hinges on you. We'll be the ones shouting until our voices break." Anticipating the coach's baldness, Li Waner gradually raised her drawing board. "Han Dong, I've captured your current state. It's neither winning nor losing. It's about your perseverance. You are, in fact, stronger than any of us." Han Dong paused, tucking the card into his pocket. "Then from now on, you must also persist in playing basketball with me." The atmosphere lightened considerably, and teammates gathered around, teasing him while the cheer squad escalated the fervor of their support. Outside the venue, clouds rolled ominously, intertwining the city's clamor with the energy of the basketball court. In the second half, Han Dong suddenly surged with vigor, breaking through, stealing the ball, and defending with each step, as if he were trampling on the anxieties and uncertainties within him. Lin Zian orchestrated the cheer squad with various antics. Whoever shouts the loudest 1T have to write reflections for the finals. Everyone yelled with all their might, transforming the cheers into a vibrant spectacle. The score was momentarily leveled. In the final 30 seconds, Han Dong leaped to shoot amidst three defenders. The basketball arced gracefully through the air and swished through the net. Han Dong, the game winner. The cheer squad and stands erupted in jubilation. As the final whistle blew, sweat and laughter intertwined. Han Dong exclaimed, "Lin Zian, Mu-yu Waner, you all must join the next game. There's no negotiating." Lin Zian folded his gloves. Pointing at Han Dong's chest, "You've won this match. Let us tackle the finals together, no matter how difficult it may be." Li Waner lifted her drawing board, capturing the moment with a group photo of their team. Under the gentle embrace of light, each individual conceals a hint of exhaustion, yet harbors a stubborn resilience that refuses to yield. As twilight descends, the city's lights seem to seep into the very hearts of its inhabitants. Laughter still reverberates on the basketball court. The distance between small cliques within the class has been significantly shortened by this exhilarating game. Han Dong's silence finally dissipates amidst the cheers, and Lin Zian turns to glance back at the gym, feeling an inexplicable sense of reassurance. Youth may resemble a series of unpredictable contests, yet as long as there are companions to cheer loudly alongside, even through the bumps and scrapes, one can discover the most reliable place to belong. Chapter 18. Discussions on school selection and signals of secret affection. The echoes of the basketball game linger in the hallways. Yet the classroom is enveloped in an eerie silence. Han Dong, clutching a basketball, sits quietly in the last row, his head buried in the crook of his arm. Mu Yu flips through the latest admission materials, her fingers restlessly fidgeting with the corners of the pages. Lin Zian glances at his deskmate, sensing the brewing storm. Although Mu Yu appears engrossed, the thin admissions brochure is nearly twisted into a pretzel by her anxious hands. Lin Zian nudges her chair leg playfully. Hey Mu Yu, the heroine, are you so troubled that you dare not even venture to the cafeteria? This isn't the time for the Scholar Alliance. Who are you planning to confront at the school selection discussion? Mu Yu's eyebrows arch in frustration. Her expression tightly wound as she looks up. Don't treat your future education lightly. Lin Zian, are you planning to remain in our city for the college entrance examination? Have you not considered competing in a big city? Lin Zian twirls a water pen like a top, grinning broadly. Big cities are too competitive, aren't they? I just want to find a school that embraces my unique sense of humor, not one where everyone is merely a machine for exams. Besides, my family's finances don't support me flying to Beijing or Shanghai every day. My parents would prefer I tread the path they've laid out for me. These words ignited a small explosion in the classroom. Mu Yu slammed her hand on the table, startling Han Dong, who sat up straight, the basketball rolling to Li Wanner's feet. Li Wanner hastily bent down to retrieve the ball, inadvertently smudging the freshly drawn pencil marks on her sleeve. She cautiously handed the basketball back to Han Dong, her voice barely above a whisper. Han Dong, you might need to practice more with your basketball. Han Dong glanced at her, forcing a smile. His recent performance has been lackluster, burdened by family matters and his mother's declining health. His tone no longer exudes the vibrant energy of the sports committee member, but carries a tinge of weariness that tugs at the heart. Mu Yu's expression softened slightly as she regarded Han Dong. Are you also planning to stay local for university? Han Dong shook his head. I haven't made up my mind. Considering my family situation, I don't want to go too far. Yet sometimes I envy you all, who can choose your future freely. The light in the classroom dimmed a fraction, contrasting sharply with the lively discussions of peers outside about college consultations. Lin Zian suddenly felt a heaviness in his chest, swallowed hard, and feigned nonchalance. Isn't it true that getting into Peking University doesn't make anyone superior? We all have to pass the exams first. You all worry too much. Once I get in, I'll treat the whole class to a feast every few days. Mu Yu shot him a glare. You only know how to talk. Lin Zian beamed with self-satisfaction. Without me, would everyone be laughing this much? Just as the atmosphere began to lighten, teacher Xiao Siming entered, shaking the school meeting notice in hand, his voice melodious. Oh, are we holding a meeting of the humorists? Discussing futures can be quite amusing. It seems I still have much to learn. Lin Zian seized the opportunity. Teacher Xiao, if you hadn't reminded us, we would have turned into a cozy study room. Xiao Siming tapped the notice on the podium. Tonight's school consultation meeting is traditionally attended by parents. So if you have any concerns, don't keep them to yourselves. Selecting a school is not just for your parents, it's also for yourselves. Understand? Han Dong remained silent. Lin Zian bowed his head. Mu Yu bit her lip, and Li Wanner subtly turned sideways, each lost in their private thoughts. Suddenly, a sound of paper sliding to the ground broke the quiet at the back door of the classroom. As Lin Zian turned his head, a note decorated with soft colors fell at his feet. Li Wanner hurriedly tried to pick it up, but Lin Zian was quicker, assuming it was her dropped assignment. Wanner, did you drop something important again? All eyes turned towards her, and Li Wanner's cheeks flushed crimson as she softly replied, No, it's not an assignment. Lin Zian leaned closer to examine the note, revealing a watercolor painting of a boy depicted as a light across the street, strikingly reminiscent of himself. Accompanying it were a few lines of poetry. Wherever you are, it's the liveliest and warmest. He paused, his eyebrows arching in surprise. Mu Yu, intrigued, leaned over. Oh, Wanner is writing poetry too? Are you pursuing a renaissance of the arts? Or is this a documentary of Lin Zian's peak moments? Li Wanner fidgeted with her sleeve, her voice barely audible. Actually, I just enjoy capturing every moment. Han Dong sighed, gently placing the basketball back on the desk. His gaze sweeping over the three. I once thought how wonderful it would be if our class could always remain this lively. Yet, some things are beyond anyone's help. Teacher Xiao Siming approached the window, gazing out at the bustling city, his tone becoming gentle. You may feel overwhelmed by the choices for your future, but believe me, teachers have also experienced confusion. Look at the world outside. There are courts, business districts, the glow of residential lights, with some sprinting forward and others hiding within their own stories. Choosing a school is but one part of life. It is also the starting line for self-growth. The atmosphere in the classroom suddenly grew solemn, an unspoken understanding weaving through their individual musings. Lin Zian sighed, gently placing Li Wan'er drawing on her desk. This is quite beautiful. Next time, make me look a little more handsome. Li Wan'er nodded slightly, her eyes sparkling with a mix of apology and shyness. Mu Yu, unable to contain herself, finally smiled. Besides being a jokester, you only know how to trouble Wan'er, don't you? Lin Zian feigned a wounded expression. I have added to the class's artistic assets. Han Dong tossed the basketball back to him. You keep the assets. I'll bear the pressure. The atmosphere regained a semblance of vitality. Mu Yu suddenly turned serious. Looking at Lin Zian, tell me, are you really not considering studying out of town? Lin Zian's smile dimmed slightly, and he replied earnestly. I fear my parents would worry. I also want to spend a few more years with them. Honestly, I'm afraid if I go to a big city, even my antics would go unnoticed. Mu Yu listened quietly, her eyes reflecting a blend of empathy and unexpressed understanding. She too was ensnared by her parents' expectations, fearing that venturing too far might lead her astray. Teacher Xiao Siming put away the notice, his tone particularly warm. The world encompasses more than just one examination or one classroom. This playground where you have run, each choice is worthy of respect. No matter where you end up in the future, do not forget your strengths, nor overlook the warmth of friendship. These words seemed to cast a spell, clearing the remnants of awkwardness from the air. Han Dong threw an arm around Lin Zian's shoulder. If you truly get into some prestigious university, remember to come back and play basketball. No matter where we are, brothers will always gather. Mu Yu gazed out the window, where the city lights had ignited, intertwining hope and future in every corner. Li Wan'er lowered her head, delicately adding a few strokes to her drawing, inadvertently blending light and warmth into one. Suddenly, Lin Zian turned to Mu Yu with earnestness. If you go to Beijing and I stay local, can we still share laughs? Mu Yu lifted Herchin, a rare smile gracing her lips. As long as there is a signal, we can stay in touch, right? After a pause, her voice carried a gentle strength, suggesting that perhaps true distance lies in one's willingness to draw closer at heart. Outside the classroom, the corridor buzzed with life, and everyone fell silent for a moment. Then, as was customary, Lin Zian stood up. All right, the discussion on school selection is concluded. Let us gather tonight to dine at the nearby business district, commemorating our first battle of growth. Teacher Xiao Siming shook his head with a smile, lightly patting Lin Zian's shoulder. Your youth is the brightest signal. A profound warmth quietly flowed through the room, and everyone's steps grew lighter. A drawing rested on the windowsill, the breeze gently lifting a corner, casting a soft glow that reflected in each person's smile. Growth is never solely marked by confusion. It also encompasses the warmth of youth and a sense of belonging. As night descends, the lights in the classroom flicker on. The painting by the windowsill stands silently, quietly harboring all the secret crushes, dreams, and confusions within a gentle, warm hue. Chapter 19. The Final Battle and the Night of Collapse. Are you not afraid of filling out the volunteer application incorrectly? In the classroom late at night, Lin Zian clutches a pile of papers, a mischievous smile curving his lips. Outside, the neighborhood lights form a halo, dim yet serene, while only a few desk lamps in the corner of the classroom cast a soft glow upon them. Mu Yu rests her forehead on a thick stack of mathematics and physics papers, her slender fingers gripping a pen tightly. After a moment, she utters, "Don't disturb me. If you say another useless word, I'll use your error notebook to cover your head." Han Dong, propping himself against a basketball, pulls out a chair and stands up. Zian, Mu Yu, stop bickering. Tonight's mission is to stay up late together. Let's not engage in a civil war. With that, he pulls out a pack of spicy strips from his school uniform pocket and hands them over like distributing red envelopes. Li Zian, secretly taking notes, glances at Lin Zian, then quickly lowers her head, sketching his smiling face in the corner of her notebook. The shadows of the three are cast upon the back wall of the classroom, while 5 or 6 sticky notes filled with formulas and analyses adorn the blackboard like a waterfall. I hereby declare, Lin Zian pushes his glasses up, feigning solemnity. The all-nighted task force is established. Our goal tonight is to tackle 3 subjects and finish all the mistakes. Let's secure our grades. Muyu scoffs and nudges him with her elbow. Didn't you say last time that I rely on inspiration for exams? How come today you've turned into a question bank mover? Inspiration requires a foundation. Otherwise, it becomes blind risk-taking. Lin Zian grins playfully, teasingly moving her test paper further away. Han Dong interjects, deliberately shifting the topic. Who can help me memorize geography? Vanya, can you describe the winds at latitude 40 degrees north using your memory palace? Li Zian blushes slightly, stammering, but still earnestly gestures. For instance, we could visualize the knowledge points in our dreams, like the arrangement in our class. This side is the bookshelf, and that side is the teacher's desk. All these can transform into geographical coordinates. How about I draw it for you? Lin Zian laughs until tears form in the corners of his eyes. The artistic committee member is truly exceptional. Let us create a survival map for finals later, to serve as a good luck charm for everyone. Truthfully, the classroom at this moment resembles a makeshift starship, filled with the aroma of coffee, instant food, and the youthful essence of camaraderie. The fatigue and anxiety of staying up late intertwine, yet no one is willing to concede. Suddenly, Muyu furos herbroth, her hand trembling unconsciously as she flips through the math paper. Her voice drops to a whisper, as if falling into the crevices of the questions. Why do I always feel like I haven't done enough? Why are my grades still not ideal? All the laughter halts abruptly. Lin Zian gazes into Muyu's almost stubborn eyes, his throat tightening as if gripped by the night breeze. Han Dong slowly puts away the basketball and leans against the desk in silence. The atmosphere grows somber. Die Venne against the Hensoher notebook, where a colorful pen has inscribed, even if there are 100 mistakes, we still face challenges together. You are not alone, nor are you a machine. Muyu gazes at this sentence, her eyes glimmering like a hint of morning light. She bites her lip to suppress her quivering voice. Thank you. I can be quite fragile at times. Lin Zian wishes to say something, but suddenly changes his mind. You know, Muyu, you are actually braver than any of us. You dare to confront uncertainty. If it were me, I would have pretended to be carefree and run outside to boast. Han Dong throws an arm around Lin Zian's shoulders. Zian, don't start. You're more terrified of being called on by the teacher than we are during mistakes. He waves the spicy strips in his hand, distributing pieces to everyone, saying, Tonight, let us not allow self-doubt. The midnight snack is already arranged. As they munch on the spicy strips, their expressions are exaggerated, as if filtered. Lin Zian coughs and says, Han Dong, can you bring some milk next time? The spicy strips are too intense. But Muyu unexpectedly smiles, looking earnestly at Han Dong. Actually, having friends like you is my greatest source of confidence. The countdown in the upper left corner of the blackboard, indicating 2 days left, stands out starkly against the night. A small group huddles at the back of the classroom, exchanging mistakes, teasing each other, synchronously refreshing the countdown page and swapping answers. In between, playful scuffles begin anew. Lin Zian twists Muyu's eraser, while Han Dong occasionally kicks his chair leg, and Li Zian doodles a basketball and a sweating exam paper on a scrap of paper. As midnight passes, silence gradually envelopes them. Outside, the stillness is akin to the city holding its breath, with only the faint sounds of distant commotion from the basketball court breaking the quietude. The echoing footsteps of students studying at night reverberate in the school corridors, each harboring a hint of unease, while they mask this excess anxiety with noise and companionship. Muyu tidies her desk, hesitating before softly asking, Do you think we can all pass? Lin Zian taps the desk with his fingertip, asserting, Even if I have but one life left, I will carry you all across the finish line. Han Dong grins widely, bouncing the basketball. The examination room will reveal all. I believe our class's ragtag team has the most potential. Li Zian merely nods, her gaze gentle yet resolute, as if she could draw everyone onto the same page of a sketchbook in the next moment. The night deepens. The clouds are sliced into strands by the moonlight. And the sounds of youth continue to intertwine in the classroom, like an unfinished symphony of laughter and chaos. The pressure of finals hangs between them, tightly wrapped in friendship, forming a warmth that fears not the storms ahead. As dawn approaches, Lee Warner quietly snaps a photo of everyone slumped against their desks. In the picture, no one appears flawless, blurred, fatigued, with crumbs of spicy strips on their lips. Yet each pair of eyes holds a glimmer of light. This night seemingly changed nothing, yet subtly drew their hearts closer together. As a new day dawns outside the door, it seems to herald that they will continue to walk side by side on the path of growth, no matter how fierce the storms may be. The classroom gradually quiets down as Lin Zian circles the last mistake, smiling at everyone. Tomorrow, let us conquer this final battle with laughter. Outside, the sky is already lightening. Chapter 20. Report Cards and Misaligned Growth. Chun Muyu's forehead remains pressed against the thick stack of mathematics and physics papers, her scattered hair obscuring her gaze, yet failing to shield her from the restlessness sweeping through the classroom. Lin Zian clutches his error notebook, having just been threatened by Muyu to cover his head, and now can't help but smile. Go ahead, cover it. My grade should be better than last semester, so I'm giving you some confidence. Muyu doesn't respond, merely huffs softly, sitting up straighter. Sunlight streams through the corridor, and teacher Xiao Simon clutches a stack of printed report cards, distributing them one by one like a card dealer. When the papers land on the desk, it feels as though divine proclamations have descended, and everyone holds their breath. As the results are revealed, students check their own scores. Teacher Xiao, with a professional smile, announces, if you are dissatisfied, feel free to challenge me. If you're satisfied, remember to treat me to bubble tea. Han Dong snatches his report card, still clutching the basketball under his arm. Without even looking at the numbers, he bursts into laughter, thrilled with his perfect score in physical education. Dong-gu can now self-recommend for the school team. Lin Zian presses down on the edge of the paper, as if engaged in an arm-wrestling match with fate. In truth, he is anxious, his fingers slightly sweaty, but he feigns nonchalance. Bumping shoulders with Han Dong. You got full marks in PE. I'm not doing too badly in Chinese either. This round I win. His gaze drifts toward Muyu's unopened report card, his eyes filled with anticipation. However, Muyu remains silent for 2 seconds before finally flipping over to check the numbers. In an instant, her expression subtly shifts, her brows knitting tighter. Although her grades still fall within the excellent range, they have dropped a position compared to last semester. Her grip on the pen tightens as if the numbers have become heavier. It's fine. You're still in the top 3 of the class, Lee Warner whispers reassuringly, carefully folding her report card, fearful of revealing the small red circle above the passing line. Gradually, whispers fill the classroom. Laughter erupts, some weep quietly, while others feign indifference. Yet, in this moment, around Lin Zian's seat, emotions are quietly bubbling to the surface, and no one can fully detach themselves. Teacher Xiao Simon, standing by the podium, adjusted his glasses and winked at Lin Zian, remarking, Zian has made progress. This time, he is not at the bottom of the class. As the representative for mathematics, he was encouraged to share his insights on rising to the challenge. Lin Zian, quick with his words, replied, my secret? I sneak a peek at Muyu's notes during evening self-study, and occasionally, I ask Warner to supervise my sleep. Han Dong burst into laughter, slapping the table with enthusiasm. Muyu, treat him to milk tea after school tonight to keep the momentum going. Mu igreku, ignoring Lin Zian, murmured. If you truly have turned things around, help me check the exam hall surveillance next time. Her voice was soft, devoid of indifference, revealing a hint of envy and bewilderment. Lin Zian shrugged and theatrically waved to the class. Ladies and gentlemen, please refer to me as Lin Bangyan, embarking on a journey of brilliance. His words instantly enlivened the atmosphere. The small groups in the classroom, previously engrossed in private discussions about who would rise or fall, joined in the cheer. Bangyan, treat us to milk tea tonight. Lin Bangyan is giving out red envelopes. Lee Warner quietly sketched a Bangyan label above Lin Zian's head on the back of her notebook, adding color with her markers. Her gaze was gentle, yet her heart bore a tinge of complexity. Lin Zian seemed to shine brighter today, while she remained the diligent little chrysanthemum, unnoticed by others. After class, Han Dong pulled Lin Zian aside. Dong-gu is impressive. The teacher just praised my leadership in the basketball game and said I would be awarded as an exemplary student. He spoke with excitement. kicking a ball that echoed in the hallway. Lin Zian teased, not just the basketball ace, but the exemplary Dong Ge. With your speed, are you aiming for class president next? Han Dong blinked, surprisingly not denying it. Do you think my mom will be happier if I win an award? Absolutely. Dong Yi, you are already remarkable. Lin Zian patted his shoulder. At that moment, Han Dong's joy surpassed even his own grades. At the corridor's corner, Li Waner, clutching her report card in one hand and a drawing board in the other, slowly made her way to the window. She unveiled the drawing board, revealing a class growth storybook she had crafted over an entire semester, with each page capturing snippets of campus life. At that moment, she was coloring the final page, Lin Zian and Han Dong frolicking, Muyu seated in the corner of the podium, and teacher Xiao waving a book while classmates exerted themselves on a basketball court. She dared not let others see, yet the illustration was as vibrant as a summer watermelon, filled with the essence of growth. Muyu stood a few steps behind her, observing Li Waner's focus, and finally spoke, "Your drawings are splendid. You notice the details so well." Li Waner was taken aback. "I just think everyone deserves to be remembered." Her voice was soft and delicate. Mu Igriku nodded, her expression warmer than usual. "Thank you." In the end, Li Waner discreetly handed the storybook to Muyu. "You can choose a page to display in the class corner, so everyone can see our story." Muyu hesitated for a moment before accepting the book and carefully flipping through the pages. She landed on the scene of Lin Zian scribbling on the blackboard, bewildered after being reprimanded by Xiao Siming, and chuckled softly. "This page resembles us quite a bit." As school ended, teacher Xiao Siming was tidying up the podium when he suddenly raised his voice. "Don't just focus on grades. Anyone with great suggestions on how to make next semester more interesting can come to my office to borrow the whiteboard for their ideas." Han Dong was the first to raise his hand. "What if we organize a basketball carnival? Let the whole class participate, regardless of gender." Lin Zian immediately chimed in. "Then we must have a Chinese stand-up comedy competition. Teacher, if you dare to join, I will vote for you as the best at telling cold jokes." Laughter erupted in the classroom, filling the air with a refreshing energy. Li Waner tucked the storybook into her backpack, softly murmuring to herself, "In truth, everyone is progressing. There are always those waiting for your brilliance, and others striving to illuminate you." The classroom eventually fell silent. Lin Zian gazed at the sunset-painted sky, a thought leaping into his mind. Grades are not merely numbers. They also encompass the nuances of growth. Muyu looked out the window, her small hands organizing the storybook. The pages of Li Waner's drawings turned, her gaze resembling the gentle summer rain, carrying unspoken new courage. Han Dong dribbled the basketball, stepping into the light at the classroom door, his silhouette elongated like the unfinished track of their youth. And in the air, the stories belonging to each of them continued to unfold page by page. Chapter 21. The secret agreement. In the evening breeze, the setting sun bathed the teaching building in warm orange hues, and, as the school bell rang, a cacophony erupted from every classroom. Chun Muyu, clutching the class growth storybook, ambled through the crowd, her pace markedly slower than usual. She gently caressed the cover with her fingertips, the delicate and warm illustrations by Li Waner sending ripples through her heart like pebbles dropped into a pond. "Mu Igriku, wait for me," Lin Zian called out, catching up from behind, his backpack strap slung hastily over one shoulder as he hurried, his tousled bangs falling into disarray. He had just been surrounded by a group of classmates who insisted he fulfill his promise of milk tea as Lin Bangyan, and he had barely managed to escape. Chun Muyu paused, turning her head to look at him, her gaze lacking the usual indifference but also devoid of any smile. "What is it?" "Of course. I have something to discuss." Lin Zian stood firmly before her, deliberately clearing his throat and adopting a serious demeanor. "Earlier, someone said if I turn things around, I could ask for a favor. Is that no longer valid?" Chun Muyu momentarily froze, recalling her earlier half-joking remark in class, her ears subtly flushing with a hint of red. "I was just speaking casually. A gentleman's word is his bond." Lin Zian raised an eyebrow, his tone tinged with a hint of triumph. "Besides, this time I have genuinely improved, and the teacher even acknowledged it. You can't back out now." They walked side by side down the corridor, sunlight streaming through the windows, stretching their shadows long. In the distance, Han Dong, holding a basketball, was animatedly chatting with several boys, his laughter reverberating throughout the hallway, punctuated by the rhythmic thud of the ball, an exuberance characteristic of youth. "What do you want me to do?" Chun Muyu asked softly, her fingers instinctively tightening around the storybook in her embrace. Lin Zian observed her tense profile and suddenly laughed, his smile bright and genuine. It's nothing complicated. Just promise me that for the next monthly exam, you won't study alone in silence. If you encounter problems, you can ask me, and if I struggle, I can ask you. Let us study together. How's that sound? Chen Muyu was taken aback. She had anticipated Lin Zian to seize the opportunity to make mischievous requests, such as asking her to help him copy notes or treat him to milk tea, but she never expected such a simple yet earnest agreement. She lifted her gaze to meet Lin Zian's eyes, which were clear and devoid of mockery, only sincerity. At a loss for words, Chen Muyu finally said, I know you excel academically. You have always ranked among the top in the class. Lin Zian set aside his teasing tone, adopting a serious demeanor. But when I saw you with your report card this time, having done while yet appearing so unhappy, I wonder if you're too hard on yourself. Chen Muyu's heart trembled softly. No one had ever so plainly seen through her inner turmoil. Her parents held high expectations for her, teachers regarded her as a role model, and peers envied her excellence. Yet only she knew the sharp pangs of every fluctuation in her rank, akin to needles pricking her heart. She had grown accustomed to wrapping herself in indifference, striving for perfection, yet forgot how to relax. I just don't want to regress, she softly explained, her voice tinged with a trace of unrecognized grievance. No one can always stand at the pinnacle, Lin Zian remarked, scratching his head casually, akin to Han Dong, who excelled in basketball and scored full marks in physical education. No one would dismiss him for not being at the top in academics. Your grades are already impressive. Slipping one rank occasionally is hardly significant. At the end of the corridor, Li Waner, holding her drawing board, observed the two figures from a distance, a tender smile gracing her lips. She refrained from approaching. Quietly standing still, capturing the scene of the two youths side by side in the sunset as glow on her board. She wished to immortalize this moment, a unique and gentle instant that belonged solely to them. Moreover, studying with a companion is undoubtedly preferable to enduring solitude. Lin Zian continued, I can assist you in organizing your incorrect answers, and you can help me with Chinese. We can complement each other, and perhaps next time, I can break into the top 10, and you might find it easier as well. Chen Muyu fell silent for a moment, gazing at the resolute youth before her, and the taut barrier in her heart subtly loosened. She gently nodded, her voice as faint as a whisper. All right. In an instant, Lin Zian beamed, as if he had received the most precious reward. It's a deal. Starting tomorrow, we will discuss problems together during evening study sessions. No backing out. Mu Igreku replied, a slight smile gracing her lips, a fleeting yet delicate expression that Lin Zian captured with precision. A sudden realization struck him. This seemingly aloof, academic prodigy looked surprisingly charming when she smiled. At that moment, Han Dong bounded over, cradling a basketball, and boisterously patted Lin Zian on the shoulder. Zian, Muyu, what are you two engrossed in over here? Nothing much. Lin Zian quickly reverted to his usual playful demeanor, just discussing the upcoming monthly exam. I am to surpass mu igreku. Han Dong's expression turned incredulous. You? Surpass mu igreku. Zian, while you have made progress, your confidence is rather audacious. One must not speak too soon. Lin Zian raised an eyebrow. What if I truly achieve it? Chen Muyu, clutching her illustrated book, observed the banter between the two, and her previously heavy heart felt unexpectedly lighter. The evening breeze wafted through the window, carrying the fragrant scent of the campus flora, dispersing the gloom that had shrouded her due to academic pressures. She glanced down at the illustrated book in her arms, flipping to the page drawn by Li Waner, depicting herself studying diligently at her desk, with Lin Zian sneaking glances at her, Han Dong playing basketball at the back of the classroom, and Li Waner quietly sketching in a corner. The scene was simple yet brimming with life. It dawned on her that her life encompassed more than just exams and grades. It was also filled with delightful companions. By the way, Muyu, Lin Zian suddenly recalled, you mentioned needing my help to check the exam room surveillance. What for? Chen Muyu lifted her gaze, her eyes flickering slightly. It's nothing. During the last exam, I distinctly remember answering a question, yet I received no points for it. I want to see if it was a misjudgment by the machine. That's easily resolved, Lin Zian declared, thumping his chest in assurance. Tomorrow, I'll speak with Teacher Xiao to ensure we get to the bottom of it. Han Dong chimed in eagerly. Count me in. I have a good rapport with Teacher Xiao. I'll approach him for an even higher success rate. Seeing their enthusiasm warmed Chun Mu-yu's heart, and she softly expressed her gratitude. Thank you both. For what? We're classmates. Lin Zian replied with a smile. If you need anything in the future, just say so. Don't carry it all alone. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the heavens with a vibrant crimson hue, the trio strolled along the campus path, their silhouettes nestled together. Their laughter carried away by the breeze. Nearby, Li Wanner closed her sketchbook, gazing at their retreating figures, murmuring to herself, how wonderful it is. Everyone is slowly drawing closer. The gentle evening breeze stirred the fallen leaves, echoing the pure friendships blossoming in the hearts of youth. That twilight held no earth-shattering events, only a quietly made promise and a tender warmth beginning to flourish within their youth, leaving a gentle mark on their journey. Chapter 22. The starlight of the classroom corner. The following morning, the classroom buzzed with an unusual liveliness. The afterglow of yesterday's report cards lingered in the air, as students clustered in groups, discussing scores, lamenting difficult questions, and sharing plans for the holidays. As Han Dong entered the classroom, he placed his basketball in the corner of the desk, immediately surrounded by several boys, eagerly recounting his experience of trying out for the school team. Dongyi, are you really going for the team? Our class will rely on you for the basketball matches. Absolutely. Once I make the team, we'll sweep the entire school. Han Dong thumped his chest, brimming with enthusiasm. Lin Zian, seated at his desk, had already opened his mathematics textbook, but scarcely glanced at it, his gaze drifting toward the classroom door intermittently. Only when that familiar figure appeared did he sigh in relief, an involuntary smile spreading across his face. Chun Mu-yu entered, still clutching the illustrated book. She walked directly to the empty corner at the back of the classroom, typically used for notices and awards, now desolate. Her actions immediately drew the attention of several classmates. Mu-yu, what do you have there? Someone inquired curiously. Without a word, Mu-yu gently opened her illustrated book, revealing the page she had coordinated with Li Wanner yesterday, depicting Lin Zian scribbling chaotically on the blackboard, punished by Teacher Xiao. She retrieved transparent tape from her backpack, carefully affixing the drawing to the wall. The paper, though small, was vibrant and lively, instantly enlivening the dull corner. Classmates gathered around, intrigued. Wow, who drew this? It's adorable. Isn't that Lin Zian? Haha, look at his disheveled state. It's so authentic. This is splendid. It captures our usual antics. Lin Zian pushed through the crowd, flushing slightly at the sight of the drawing, yet unable to suppress a chuckle. Not bad at all. This is worthy of being captured. Li Wanner stood at the back of the crowd, observing the fondness for her drawing, her anxious heart gradually calming, a soft light glimmering in her eyes. This was the culmination of her efforts over an entire semester, and now it could be seen and appreciated by everyone, which brought her greater joy than achieving high marks. This was drawn by Wanner, Chun Mu-yu softly stated, directing her gaze toward Li Wanner. She spent a long time on it, recording many moments from our semester. All eyes turned to Li Wanner, who shyly lowered her head, her fingers twisting the hem of her shirt. Wanner, you're incredible. Who knew you had such talent hidden away? So you've been drawing us all along. How thoughtful. We never noticed these details. The praises flowed in waves, and Li Wanner lifted her head, her eyes slightly glistening, yet she smiled brightly. I just feel that every day we spend together is worth remembering. Unbeknownst to them, Teacher Xiao Si-ming had arrived at the classroom door, watching the small drawing in the corner with a satisfied smile. He stepped into the classroom and clapped his hands, signaling for silence. Did you all see this? Teacher Xiao pointed at the drawing on the wall. This is the most precious treasure of our class. Scores are important, but they're not the only measure. The friendships you share, the everyday experiences you undergo, and the growth you achieve. These will be the warmest memories you cherish in the future. He paused before continuing. Student Li Wanner has meticulously documented our class with her artistry. From today onward, this corner will serve as our growth corner. Everyone can display their works, reflections, and photographs here, transforming it into our class's Starlight Corner. The classroom erupted into enthusiastic applause, and Li Wanner's face finally blossomed into a confident and radiant smile. All along, she had felt ordinary and unremarkable, with average grades and a quiet demeanor, akin to a blade of grass in the corner. Yet today, for the first time, she sensed that she could also be a light in someone else's eyes. Wanner, from now on, you will be in charge of our growth corner. Han Dong declared loudly. If you need any assistance, Just call on me. Count me in. Lin Zian quickly added, I'll help you with mounting the drawings, ensuring they are perfectly aligned. Chen Muyu observed the lively scene, her heart swelling with warmth. She had always believed that academic success was her only path, the singular means to prove her worth. Yet now she understood that the classroom was not a cold arena of competition, but a warm community. Each individual possesses their own brilliance. One need not always be the top achiever to illuminate the lives of others. Before the morning's self-study session began, Lin Zian indeed followed through on their agreement from the previous day, presenting his notebook of mistakes to Chen Muyu. Muyu, could you take a look at these problems? I pondered over them all night, but still don't understand. Muyu accepted the notebook, diligently examining it, and patiently began to explain. In the absence of the usual aloofness, the tone was calm and the explanations meticulous. Lin Zian listened attentively, nodding and occasionally asking questions. The two of them huddled together in quiet concentration. The surrounding classmates observed this scene, their faces lighting up with knowing smiles. It was once inconceivable that the previously aloof academic prodigy and a mischievous underachiever could engage in such harmonious discussions. Livena said at disk, watching Evelyn unfold, and quietly took out her brush, beginning to sketch on a fresh sheet of paper. She illustrated the growth mural in the classroom corner, depicting Muyu explaining problems to Lin Zian, Han Dong sharing laughter with the boys, and teacher, Xiao, gazing gently at everyone. She wished to immortalize all of this, capturing it with her brush and embedding it in their youth. During the break, an increasing number of classmates gathered around the growth corner. Some suggested adding more paintings. Others proposed displaying their certificates, while yet others suggested writing a class declaration. This small corner had transformed into the liveliest and warmest spot in the classroom. Han Dong, cradling a basketball against the wall, gazed at the growth corner and suddenly turned to Lin Zian, saying, Zian, I used to think that only those who excelled at basketball were remarkable. Now I realize that every individual in our class is exceptional. Wanner can paint. Muyu excels in studies, and you bring joy to everyone. Even teacher Xiao is so kind. Lin Zian nodded in agreement, deeply moved. Indeed, I once thought that poor grades left me with no pride, but now I understand that growth is not a singular path. We are all improving in our own unique ways. Not far away, Chen Muyu stood beside Li Wanner, gazing at the paintings on the wall, softly saying, Wanner, thank you. You have shown me that life is more than just exams and scores. Li Wanner smiled, her eyes crescent-shaped. We should all thank each other. Because of everyone, I dare to bring out my paintings. Because of everyone, our class is so wonderful. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a gentle glow on the artworks in the growth corner. Each small painting was like a stone thrown into a lake, creating ripples that warmed and united the entire class. In this little corner, everyone found their own place to shine, revealing their unique brilliance. It turned out that growth was never a solitary battle. It was about having companions to cry with, laugh with, and gradually improve alongside. Chapter 23. The collision of basketball and paintbrush on Wednesday afternoon. The last period was a self-study class, and the classroom was exceptionally quiet, filled only with the soft rustling of pens gliding across paper. Teacher Xiao Siming sat at the podium, observing the diligent students below, a faint smile gracing his lips. Suddenly, as if recalling something, he gently tapped the desk, capturing everyone's attention. Classmates, may I take a few minutes of your time? Teacher Xiao began. Regarding the class activities I mentioned earlier for next semester, if anyone has ideas, please feel free to share so we can discuss them together. As soon as he finished speaking, the classroom erupted with excitement. Han Dong was the first to spring up, raising his hand vigorously, nearly toppling his desk. Teacher, I want to speak. I think we should hold a basketball carnival. As soon as he finished, the boys in the class immediately chimed in. Yes, yes. A basketball carnival. Donga leading the way will definitely be fun. Han Dong proudly lifted his chin and continued. We can form small teams. It doesn't matter if you can play or not. Everyone can participate. There will be shooting contests, dribbling relays, not just competitive games. The girls can join in too. Teacher Xiao nodded with a smile. That's a great idea, emphasizing participation. Anyone else with thoughts? Lin Zian promptly raised his hand. Teacher, I propose a Chinese stand-up comedy competition. Everyone can take the stage to tell jokes, recite poetry, or tell stories. It doesn't have to be rigid. It just needs to be entertaining. The suggestion of stand-up comedy surprised the classmates, followed by a wave of laughter. This is much more fun than tedious speeches. We can even invite teachers to join. Lin Zian winked. For instance, Teacher Xiao, if you dare to take the stage, we will definitely applaud you. Teacher Xiao feigned helplessness, waving his hand. You rascal. Always teasing me. But this idea is also good. It can enhance everyone's expressive abilities. With these two proposals, the classroom quickly split into two factions. Most boys supported the basketball carnival, while the girls showed more interest in the stand-up comedy, resulting in a spirited debate. At that moment, Li Wanner, who had been quietly sitting in the corner, gently raised her hand. Her voice was soft but clear. Teacher, I have an idea. All eyes turned to her. Feeling slightly nervous, she summoned her courage to say, we could combine both activities and add painting, creating a campus fun arts festival. The suggestion of a campus fun arts festival piqued everyone's curiosity. Yes, Li Wanner nodded, articulating her thoughts clearly. One side could host basketball games while the other showcases a painting exhibition, displaying the artworks from our growth corner, and we could also have live painting. The stand-up comedy could serve as an entertainment segment in between. She paused before continuing. This way, those who enjoy sports can participate in basketball. Those who love art can paint and view the exhibition, and those who enjoy performing can join the stand-up comedy, allowing everyone to engage in what they love without having to choose just one. The classroom fell silent for a moment before a chorus of agreement erupted. Wow, that's a fantastic idea. It caters to everyone. Wanner is so clever, combining all our suggestions. Yes, let us organize the festival together. Han Dong scratched the back of his head. Laughing, Wanner really thought this through. I agree. Basketball and painting sound cool. Lin Zian raised his hand as well. I agree too. The stand-up comedy must stay. I'll be the first to sign up. Chen Muyu looked at Li Wanner, her eyes filled with admiration. She had not expected the usually quiet and timid Li Wanner to present such a thoughtful and considerate idea. Wanner always took everyone's feelings into account, like a gentle breeze smoothing over all differences. Teacher Xiao's face displayed a satisfied smile. Excellent, it's settled. Next semester, our class will host the first Campus Fun Arts Festival, with Li Wanner as the coordinator, Han Dong overseeing the basketball events, Lin Zian managing the stand-up comedy, and Chen Muyu assisting to ensure everything runs smoothly. Understood. Several voices replied in unison. With the remaining time of the self-study class, the classroom buzzed with excitement. Everyone eagerly discussing the details of the arts festival. Han Dong gathered a few boys, energetically planning the rules for the basketball games, occasionally dribbling the ball in excitement. We should set a coolest shot award. Regardless of whether it goes in, if the pose is cool, it counts as a win. Han Dong's imagination ran wild. And we need a dedicated shooting area for the girls, ensuring everyone can participate. Meanwhile, Lin Zian worked on his stand-up comedy script, occasionally making his classmates burst into laughter. He had already planned to poke fun at his previous mischief and praise his classmates, ensuring it would be both entertaining and heartwarming. Li Wanner took out her drawing board, quickly sketching the layout for the arts festival. She drew the basketball court, the art display area, and the performance stage, treating every detail with care. This was her first time overseeing such an important event, and she felt both nervous and excited. Chen Muyu sat at her desk, watching everyone's enthusiastic expressions, pen in hand, but not doing her homework. Instead, she quietly listed the items needed for the event: venue, props, paint, prizes. She had never participated in such activities before. In the past, she would have devoted all her time to studying. But now, she felt no time was wasted. On the contrary, her heart was full. It turned out that working together toward the common goal was far more meaningful than studying alone. As the class bell rang, Han Dong immediately stood up with the basketball in his arms. Let us go. Zian, we're heading to the playground to practice for the arts festival. Coming. Lin Zian responded yajively. As the two individuals were about to exit the classroom, Han Dong suddenly turned back, directing his gaze towards Li Wanner. Vanya, once you complete the venue layout, do share with us. We shall certainly arrange everything according to your design. Li Wanner responded with a smile and a nod. Sure. I will show it to you as soon as it's done. Chen Muyu observed their departing figures and then glanced at Li Wanner, who was diligently engrossed in her drawing. She picked up her pen and inscribed a line on the paper. Growth is a journey undertaken alongside companions. The sunshine outside was splendid, and a gentle breeze wafted through. Inside the classroom, some students were engaged in discussions about sports, others were brainstorming performances, while a few were immersed in their art. The sounds of basketballs bouncing, paintbrushes swishing, and laughter intertwined, composing a most melodious symphony of youth. Basketballs and paintbrushes, athletics and art, seemingly disparate elements, perfectly collided in this warm classroom, merging to create the most brilliant sparks. Each individual was striving toward a common goal, shining in their respective fields of expertise. This was their class, filled with passion, tenderness, laughter, and companionship. Every ray of light was worthy of cherishing. Chapter 24. The tenderness hidden in details. Several days had passed since the conclusion of the final exams, and the campus was now imbued with a lighter atmosphere. On this particular afternoon, the sun shone brightly, and Chun Muyu, as usual, was quietly working on problems in the classroom. Only a few students remained. Most had ventured outdoors or wandered about the campus, relishing the rare leisure time. Suddenly, Li Wanner hurriedly entered the classroom, her expression anxious and her eyes slightly reddened. She made her way directly to her seat, placed her drawing board down, and began to rummage through her backpack with increasing urgency. Muyu noticed her distress and set down her pen, gently inquiring, "Wanner, what's wrong?" Li Wanner lifted her head, tears welling in her eyes, her voice choked. I can't find the layout I drew for the arts festival. I distinctly placed it in my backpack, yet I cannot locate it no matter how hard I search." That layout was the culmination of her efforts over several afternoons, meticulously revised. With every detail thoughtfully crafted, it was her heartfelt contribution to the arts festival. The sudden loss left her both anxious and sorrowful. "Do not fret, let us search slowly," Muyu reassured her, rising to her side. "Did it possibly fall beneath your seat, or is it caught between your books?" Muyu knelt down, thoroughly inspecting beneath the desk and in the drawers, leaving no corner unchecked. However, after searching for quite some time, the drawing remained elusive. Finally, tears streamed down Li Wanner's cheeks as she lamented, "What should I do? That was a drawing I worked on for so long. I was about to show it to everyone, and now it's gone. Do not cry. We will surely find it." Muyu handed her a tissue, speaking softly. "Let us head to the corridor and the office. It may have accidentally fallen along the way." At that moment, Lin Zian and Han Dong entered the classroom, drenched in sweat and clutching a basketball. Upon seeing Li Wanner in tears, their playful demeanor vanished. "What's the matter? Who has bullied you, Wanner?" Han Dong asked hastily, concern evident in his tone. "Is it the drawing that's missing?" Lin Zian quickly spotted the disarray of the drawing board on the desk and immediately grasped the situation. Li Wanner nodded, wiping her tears away. "I can't find the layout. Do not worry. We will help you search," Han Dong declared, placing the basketball down and immediately commencing the search. "If we can't find it in the classroom, we will search the campus, on the playground, in the hallways, and the cafeteria. We will definitely find it." "I'll check the playground and hallways," Lin Zian said. "Han Dong, you go to the cafeteria and the convenience store. Mu igreku. You and Wanner can continue searching thoroughly in the classroom. We shall split up." Once they had organized their plan, the trio sprang into action. Lin Zian and Han Dong dashed out of the classroom, braving the scorching sun while scouring the campus. They overlooked no corner, inspecting the flower beds, staircases, and classroom doors with meticulous care. With such intense sunlight, if Wanner's drawing is outside, it could be blown away by the wind, Han Dong remarked as they ran. "We will certainly find it. It is Wanner's hard work, and it cannot be lost," Lin Zian replied firmly. In the classroom, Muyu accompanied Wanner as they meticulously checked once more. Suddenly, Muyu felt something stiff within the layers of Li Wanner's drawing board. Gently, she pulled it out, revealing the carefully crafted layout. "Wanner, I found it!" Muyu exclaimed with joy. Li Wanner immediately leaned closer, her tears now replaced with a radiant smile, overwhelmed with excitement. "I found it. I truly found it. I thought it was lost forever." It turned out that while she was tidying her drawing board yesterday, she had inadvertently tucked the drawing deep inside and had forgotten about it. Before long, Lin Zian and Han Dong returned, panting heavily, their clothes soaked with sweat. "Did you find it, Wanner?" they asked in unison. "Yes, it was in the drawing board." Li Wanner held up the paper, her face beaming with joy at the recovery. "Thank you all for helping me search under such a blazing sun. Thank goodness it's found." Han Dong sighed in relief, grinning broadly. "It's nothing. Running a few laps is no trouble." Lin Zian wiped the sweat from his forehead and added with a smile, "You must take care of it in the future. This is our blueprint for the arts festival. Losing it would be quite troublesome." Li Wanner nodded earnestly, her heart warmed by the sight of the three classmates who had come to her aid. In the past, she often faced challenges alone, secretly feeling disheartened without daring to trouble others. But now, she realized she was not alone. She had a group of companions willing to run around for her, concerned for her well-being. "Do show us your layout." Lin Zian leaned in, his curiosity piqued. The drawing depicted a clear layout with soft colors, meticulously dividing the basketball area, the art area, and the performance area, adorned with small, lively cartoon figures. "Wow, Warner, your drawing is absolutely fantastic." Han Dong couldn't help but exclaim. "It's even better than I imagined. When the time comes, we will arrange everything according to this layout. It will undoubtedly be the best in the entire school." Muyu nodded in agreement. "It's very thoughtful. All the details have been considered. Truly remarkable." Embarrassed by their praises, Li Warner smiled shyly, her eyes sparkling. After the lunch break, she posted the drawing on the growth corner, inviting everyone to share their feedback. The classmates gathered around, expressing their admiration, each filled with anticipation for the upcoming arts festival next semester. As teacher Xiao passed by and noticed the drawing, she couldn't resist complimenting. "Li Warner has demonstrated remarkable diligence and thorough consideration. With such a class atmosphere, I believe our arts festival will be a resounding success." As evening approached, a gentle glow of dusk painted the sky. Li Warner walked home, holding her drawing board tightly, her lips curving upward in a smile. She recalled how everyone had rushed to help her today, filling her heart with warmth. It dawned on her that tenderness is never found in grand gestures, but rather resides in the minute moments of everyday life. It is reflected in Muyu's patient assistance in searching for the drawing, in Lin Zian's meticulous planning for the search, in Han Dong's enthusiastic running under the blazing sun, and in the sincere praises from her classmates upon seeing the drawing. These fragments of tenderness sparkled like countless stars, illuminating her otherwise ordinary and tranquil youth. Not far away, Chun Muyu, Lin Zian, and Han Dong strolled side by side, laughing and chatting. "Muyu, starting tomorrow, let's continue studying together and aim for improvement in the next monthly exam. Sure, during the arts festival, I must shoot the coolest basketball. Don't boast. Just don't miss and embarrass yourself. Do you dare to question my skills? Zian, let us have a friendly competition." Li Warner watched their retreating figures, quietly taking out her brush to capture this heartwarming scene on her drawing board. She wished to forever remember this tenderness hidden within the details, etched into her artwork and her heart. The most beautiful aspect of youth is perhaps the presence of those who understand your vulnerabilities, who safeguard your efforts, and who accompany you in transforming the mundane into warmth and brilliance. Chapter 25. The unfinished prelude of youth as the final subject of the semester's exams concluded. The moment the bell rang, the entire campus erupted with excitement. The long-suppressed students erupted in cheers, the sounds of packing bags and playful banter filling every classroom. This semester has finally reached its conclusion. In the classroom, students busily tidied their belongings while excitedly discussing their holiday plans. The long-awaited break has arrived. I plan to sleep for 3 days and nights at home. I want to travel. It has been ages since I last ventured out. Don't forget about our art festival during the holiday. It will be held right after school resumes. Han Dong, clutching a basketball, grinned widely, declaring during the holiday, "I will practice basketball daily and showcase my true skills when we return." Lin Zian leaned against the desk, teasingly retorted, "Just don't end up worse after practicing for half the holiday." "You're asking for it," Han Dong responded, reaching out to tickle him, and the two began to chase and play in the classroom, laughter echoing around them. Li Warner sat in her seat, slowly packing her easel and brushes. This semester held profound significance for her. She transformed from a quiet, timid girl into a confident and cheerful individual, gaining friendships and discovering her own worth. She gazed at the growth corner at the back of the classroom, where her artwork still adorned the wall, now accompanied by several pieces from her classmates. This small corner encapsulated a semester's worth of memories and warmth. Chun Muyu approached her, softly saying, "Warner, happy holiday." "You too, Muyu." Li Warner smiled as she replied, "Make sure to rest well during the break, and don't overexert yourself with studies." Muyu was momentarily taken aback, but then nodded. Previously, holidays for her had merely meant a change of study environment. However, this holiday, she felt a newfound anticipation. She looked forward to school resuming, to organizing the art festival with everyone, to discussing topics with Lin Zian, and to continuing their warm daily interactions. See you when school starts, Mu said quietly. Yes. See you then. Teacher Xiao Si Ming entered the classroom, observing the lively students with a gentle smile. Instead of urging everyone to quiet down, as he usually did, he quietly stood at the podium, watching this group of gradually maturing children. From their mischievous antics at the beginning of the semester to the unity and camaraderie they now displayed, he witnessed their transformation and growth firsthand. Their academic performance varied, and their personalities ranged from quiet to lively, yet they all possessed the most precious qualities: friendship and responsibility. Dear students, you have all worked hard this semester. Teacher Xiao began, his voice warm. Regardless of your grades, I am proud of each of you. What I see is not just progress in scores, but the growth of each individual. You have learned to care for others, to collaborate, to accept yourselves, and to appreciate others. This is far more important than any score. The classroom gradually fell silent, everyone listening attentively. During the holiday, take time to relax. Spend time with family, and engage in activities you love. After school resumes, we will craft our own art festival together and write new stories. I wish you all a joyful holiday. Thank you, teacher. Happy holiday to you too. The students responded in unison. The school bell rang, signaling the end of the day, and students began to leave the classroom with their backpacks. Han Dong and Lin Zian walked shoulder to shoulder, engrossed in discussions about practicing basketball and stand-up comedy, their voices fading into the distance. Li Wanner, holding her easel, walked in between them, occasionally glancing back at the classroom with a sense of reluctance. Chun Mu Yu was the last to leave, gently closing the classroom door, her gaze lingering on the artwork in the growth corner before she turned to depart. As the sun set, it bathed the school building in a golden hue. The silhouettes of 4Us walked side by side along the campus path, sharing a silent understanding without the need for excessive words. We will continue together when school starts, Han Dong asserted. Of course, Lin Zian replied with a smile. Let us ensure the art festival is a success, Li Wanner added softly. Absolutely. Chun Mu Yu nodded, a gentle smile gracing her lips. They passed by the playground, where Han Dong could not resist halting to bounce the basketball a few times, the sound echoing crisply in the empty space. They strolled past the once blank wall of the growth corner, almost able to visualize the lively scenes of teamwork and discussion. As they approached the classroom door, the sounds of morning reading, laughter during breaks, and discussion still seemed to resonate in the air. This semester has concluded, yet their stories are far from over. Chun Mu Yu is no longer the studious, aloof top student. She has learned to be gentle, to provide companionship, and to embrace her imperfections. Lin Zian is no longer the mischievous, self-destructive underachiever. He has learned diligence, responsibility, and how to spread joy to others. Han Dong has transformed from a basketball-loving, carefree youth into someone who has learned to be attentive, to care for others, and to shoulder responsibilities. Li Wanner has shed her timid, self-effacing persona, blossoming into a confident, expressive individual who illuminates the world in her unique manner. Each of them has gradually metamorphosed throughout this journey of growth, becoming better versions of themselves. The numbers on their report cards merely represent minor markers on the path of development. True growth lies in understanding companionship, embracing tolerance, appreciating others, and discovering one's own light within the mundane moments of life. As the sun gradually descended, twilight approached. The youths walked side by side, their shadows elongated, stretching toward a horizon filled with hope. Their youth has seen confusion, anxiety, competition, and friction, yet, more importantly, it has been filled with warmth, companionship, laughter, and growth. The clamor during breaks, the sunlight in the classroom, the starlight in the corners, the bouncing basketball, the gentle strokes of paintbrushes, and the sincerity reflected in their eyes collectively form their most cherished youthful memories. This is not an end, but rather a brand new beginning, an unfinished prologue to their youth. The bell for the new school term will eventually ring again, and their stories will continue to unfold amidst warmth and brilliance, never to fade into oblivion. Chapter 26. The first message of the holiday. On the very first day of the holiday, the city languished under the lazy embrace of summer sunshine. Chun Mu Yu sat at her desk early in the morning, spread open her preparatory materials, yet the tip of her pen lingered above the paper, unable to inscribe a single word. Typically, at this hour, the classroom would be filled with students, the sound of pens scratching against paper, some engaged in hushed conversations, while others engaged in playful antics. But now, The room was eerily quiet. Even the chirping of cicadas outside seemed unusually pronounced. She picked up her phone, the screen devoid of any messages. Suddenly, a notification popped up at the top of the screen. Lin Zian. Are you there? Are you there? Muyu hesitated for a moment, then clicked in. Lin Zian, help. Help. I'm completely confused by 2 math preview problems. I've forgotten the approach you explained to me. Lin Zian. Image. JPG. Lin Zian. You're not still mad at me for teasing you last time, are you? Sorry. Okay. As Muyu read the flurry of messages on the screen, her lips involuntarily curled into a faint smile. She replied, No, which question? Lin Zian almost instantaneously responded, That's great. It's this question. I circled it. Thus, they began to exchange messages regarding the problems, each response building upon the other. Muyu's replies were succinct and to the point, while Lin Zian's inquiries were fragmented, punctuated by exclamations of I got it. And so that is how it works. Before long, another message appeared, this time from Liwaner. Liwaner, good morning, Muyu. It's the first day of the holiday. Are you busy? Liwaner, I've drawn a few new pieces related to the art festival. Would you like to take a look? Before Muyu could respond, a message from Han Dong burst through. Han Dong, Muyu, are you there? I need to tell you something. Han Dong, I went to the court to practice basketball today, and someone from the school team asked if I was from our class, saying they invite me to play next time. Han Dong, pretty impressive, right? Dong Yi. As Muyu observed the several chat boxes popping up simultaneously, she felt a momentary daze. In the past, her phone during the holidays merely served as an alarm clock and a tool for solving problems. Yet now, the screen was alive with the daily lives of her classmates, buzzing with excitement. After replying to Lin Zian, she responded to Li Waner, I'm looking. The drawings are wonderful. Then she replied to Han Dong, Not bad, keep it up. Before long, Lin Zian suddenly sent out a group chat invitation, aptly named Ku Jian Feng Yun Xiao Fen Dui. Upon entering the group, the messages erupted like fireworks. Lin Zian, welcome, esteemed peers, to our exclusive little group. From now on, we shall chat during the holidays, discuss homework, and converse about the arts festival. All here. Han Dong. Absolutely, Zian, it was high time to establish this group. Let me tell you, today I scored 10 3-pointers. Li Waner, wow, that's impressive. I've created a new design sketch. I'll share it with you all shortly. Lin Zian. Chun Muyu, the academic prodigy, you must not go incognito when inquiries arise in the group. Chun Muyu gazed at the screen, her fingers hovering above the keyboard. She had never participated in such a lively chat group and had never imagined that she would converse in this manner with classmates who had previously only exchanged nods. After a moment of hesitation, she gently typed 2 words, Okay. The group instantly buzzed with excitement. Lin Zian, got it. The esteemed peer has agreed. Han Dong. Now we can enjoy the holidays together. Li Waner, how wonderful. It feels as though, even during the break, we remain connected. Chun Muyu leaned back in her chair, gazing at the sunlight streaming through the window. The preparatory materials sprawled across her desk. Yet the emptiness that the holiday had brought her was suddenly filled. It turned out that true solace does not stem from a perpetually silent desk, but rather from the knowledge that someone is thinking of you, no matter where you are. She gently placed her phone at the edge of the table, no longer making an effort to silence it. This summer holiday seemed distinctly different from all the previous ones.